What's up, guys? This is Jordan Haddock.
What's up? This is Anthony Colavito.
What's up, guys? This is Pat Senior.
What's up, everyone? This is Graham Tuck, and you're listening to the New Guys podcast presented by Ride the Wave Media.
All right. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the New Guys podcast. This is, again, season 2, episode 4. Be sure to follow Ride the Wave Media on Instagram, and also be sure to follow all of us on Instagram. Our handles are below in the description. So let's get right into it. We usually started off with some Patriots talk. We're going to actually just go right into week 3, our picks, predictions. We'll get into a little bit of Pat's talk when we talk about their game this week against the Raiders. But we wanted to try to keep it simple this week and just go with who we have winning each game for week 3. It was a pretty exciting week 2. A couple of upsets, a couple of great games, highlighted by the Pats and the Seahawks Sunday Night Football. So let's start it off with the Thursday night game, Miami and Jacksonville. I'll just recap quickly. I'm still in first with my picks, total picks. Anthony and Pat have now moved and jumped Graham to be tied for second and third. And then Graham is holding up the rear. I don't know how many he's gotten right.
See, the thing is, I didn't even really have a bad week. Pat
No,
and
you
Anthony
did.
just went crazy. Like, okay, so they
Hell
both got
yeah.
13 of the 16 games this past week. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do anything about that. So,
Dumb.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jordan's got 23, Pat and Anthony both have 21, and I've got 19
I
out
know.
of 31.
I took that early lead week 1, so I can kind of chill a little bit. But Pat and Anthony creeping up on me. All right, so week 1, we're gonna go with the order that we're ranked in. So I'll start again. Miami and Jacksonville, probably one of the worst Thursday night games you could possibly have, unless you're on the Minshew train, which I guess it's entertaining to watch. Which I know Pat is. I can't tell if he's on or off, but I don't know. This is kind of a toss-up for me. I think Miami. I don't know. They're the same old team, but I also don't have much confidence in Jacksonville. James Robinson kind of broke out this past week. I think he eclipsed 100 yards. He's kind of the main guy now. Then they got that receiver. What is it? Chenault or whatever his name is. He's kind of started to break out as well. So Jacksonville, I don't know. I'm not a huge Minshew fan. I think he's kind of a flash in the pan kind of guy. Like, he'll give you a couple good weeks and he'll be off for a couple of them. I'll take Jacksonville in this game, but I don't know. I can't even see myself really watching it that much just because the two teams play. There's not much talent between these two teams. And then Pat and Anthony, you guys can fight out who wants to go next.
Rock, paper, scissors? No, Pat can go first. I'm going to give – this is my logic behind giving Pat. Pat got that Raiders pick last week, and I respect him for taking Las Vegas 100%. We clowned him for it. I really clowned him for it. Now, looking back, you got to give credit where credit's due. So I'm going to let the man go first.
Appreciate the love.
Of course.
As you guys know, I've said it before, I'm a big Gardner guy. So, I mean, this is a terrible Thursday night matchup. Like, Miami and Jacksonville is like sums up Florida for you. It's just like nobody wants to watch that or anything, you know.
It's a Florida man matchup.
Yeah. That being said, I'm gonna take the Jaguars just because I gotta disagree with you, Jordan. I think Gardner has shown real potential to be maybe a franchise guy. We don't really know.
All right,
2 weeks.
Slow down.
Hey, a franchise guy in the eye of the Jaguars.
Yeah. True. Okay.
I mean, think about what he's working with. He has his probably second best receiver is a rookie who was picked in like the 3rd or 4th round. Last Sunday, so 3 days ago now, from when we're recording, he threw completions to 8 different targets, 3 completions to at least 8 different targets. So he does have a lot of like mediocre weapons, which I guess makes a really good offense. He put up 30 points on the Titans, which is one of the better defenses in the league. Probably not at the cornerback position, but otherwise. I'm going to go with the Jaguars just because the Dolphins they don't have enough talent or anything to really compete and shut down Uncle Rico. I think he's going to light it up. That's my prediction.
Yeah, the Dolphins don't really stand out to me. I think they're really a big bottom feeder team this year. Obviously, because they drafted Tua, they're not in the conversation for tank for Trevor. But obviously, they picked Tua. But I think if they didn't pick Tua last year, they would be definitely tanking much better for Trevor. Maybe an 0-16 year. That's a bit of a bold statement. But I'm going to pick the Jaguars this week. Like Like Minshew, I remember Minshew last year. He had a couple of good games, and then he went down the shitter. Like he just does that. Like based on last year, I think he's going to do it again this year. It's still week 3. I think he might have a few more good games in him this year. But granted, this is just a really bad matchup. Not one many people are excited for. So I'm just going to pick Jacksonville to stay safe.
So I kind of agree. I don't know if Jacksonville is everything that they've been hyped up to be at this point. But Gardner has played well. There's no way of denying that. And Miami hasn't played horribly either. They hung close with Buffalo, and they were able to hang tight with us, to be honest, in week 1. But Jacksonville, Jordan, I'm going to disagree with you. They have some talent on the offensive side of the ball. They've got DJ Chark, who broke out last year. They've got Keelan Cole, he had flashes last year. He played well this past Sunday. Chanel, like you said. And then they still have D.D. Westbrook. I'm pretty sure they still have him too. And so that receiving core is not bad. They picked up Tyler Eifert. They've got James Robinson, like you said, and then a couple other pieces in the backfield. They have talent. Their offensive line isn't all that, which might play a factor into Gardner's ball security later on in the season. But that being said, Miami's defense hasn't shown that they can stop anybody. And with Gardner playing like he has been, it's hard to pick against Jacksonville. So I'm going to go with you 3. A clean sweep for the Jags this week.
To start it off.
Yeah.
Let me clarify. I think that the Jags have a offensive talent. I just don't know if that is sustainable throughout the season.
Fair.
So Pat's saying like the Jaguars are the real thing. Minshew's like he's developing into like a maybe.
Real thing maybe. I don't think they're gonna go and like contend for it.
No.
No.
But I'm just saying like we had the same thing happen last year where Minshew had like 2 or 3 good games, and then people were like, oh man, like this is the next big thing, and then he was like average to below average.
They made a Snapchat filter based on him as well. That's how nuts everyone went about this guy.
Yeah, so he had a lot of hype last year, and I don't know. I'm not saying he can't keep this up, but either way, against Miami, you really don't have to be great to beat them. So that's a clean sweep to start it off. Kind of what we expected. All right, moving into the Sunday 1:00s. Starting it off with actually a pretty good game. We've got Houston and Pittsburgh. Houston coming off of a loss against the Ravens, where I had them winning. That was not the case, and Lamar showed why he's still Lamar Jackson. And then Pittsburgh coming off of a close win against Denver, where they really should have pulled away after Locke went down and Cortland Sutton went down, but they just it was very. I think it came down to. I mean, I think what was a 3-point game to end it.
I think it was 5.
Okay, so either way, one score.
Denver
game,
covered. So. Denver covered. I had that pick. Let's go.
Yeah. So Pittsburgh looked great week 1. Ben Roethlisberger and Juju looked great, but this past week they looked kind of iffy against a injured Denver team. So I think you lean Texans here, but I think I'm actually going to go with the Steelers. I think Roethlisberger has shown his chemistry with Deontay Johnson and with Juju. They both have had a good week. Juju taking over week 1, Deontay Johnson taking over week 2. James Conner bounced back last week. He wasn't great for his yards per carry, but he looked decent out there, and it's good to know that either whether it be his ankle or whether he got sat, there's still confidence in him. And I think that their defense is just absolutely ridiculous. They shut down, and they had Noah Fant shut down for pretty much the whole game, and then he got that 1 touchdown in the 2-point conversion. But I think he finished with like 2 or 3 receptions. They shut down Ingram week 1 to like 8 yards. Their ability to shut down like one of the top targets on those teams is ridiculous. And I think they're able to slow Watson down enough for the Steelers and Roethlisberger to get a couple scores and keep them ahead the whole game. So I'm going to go Steelers, but I'm going to say it's definitely going to be a 4, 5, 6 point victory.
I think I'm going to go with you, Jordan, and go with the Steelers, just because I think Houston is they're clearly not better than they were last year, not even on the level they were last year. And I think last year there still could have been a close game with how the Steelers defense has been playing. They probably have a top 2 or 3 defense in the league with a lot of young pieces. And Houston really just doesn't have the weapons, I think, to overcome that. And like you said, Big Ben, I think, is playing very well against the Broncos defense that I think is leading the league in fewest yards per attempt He threw for 300 yards. He had a pick, but 2 touchdowns as well. 70% completion. I think Big Ben can get it done. I don't really have faith in Houston at all. I think it's going to be a really bad year for them. I just feel bad for Deshaun Watson, to be honest. He's just stuck in that. Like, that team has no direction. They're not really in playoff contention, but they're not awful. He's good enough to keep them just like above that 5, 6, 7 win area. So I'm going Pittsburgh, but I just feel bad for Deshaun Watson. Houston's just so watered down and washed up. JJ Watt's not getting any better. All this, Yeah. I think it's Pittsburgh by 7 to 10 points.
I'm gonna have to disagree with the both of you. Here's my thing. Houston, I don't think there's any argument that Houston had the worst opening 2 games in Kansas City, and then the following week against Baltimore. I mean,
Agreed.
I don't think it gets much worse than that. Besides, if they played Seattle this week, maybe. But thank God they're not. They're playing a Steelers team. They're playing a Steelers team that barely pulled away from a completely broken down Broncos team. I feel like the Broncos you can write off right now just because of the fact you got Drew Lock's down, Von Miller's down, Cortland Sutton's out for the year with the torn ACL that just came out this week. And that Pittsburgh team barely pulled away from them by 5 points. And you look at the week before, Big Ben looked good against the Giants. I mean, but it's the Giants. And that was a game that the Giants easily could have won if they weren't the Giants. So, I mean, I feel like Houston I don't think they're going to start 0-3. I can't see Deshaun Watson letting that team start 0-3. And I think this week is the perfect week to capitalize on that. I still think his weapons are decent in Brandon Cooks and Kenny Stills. And you got the tight end Darren Fells, who is extremely underrated in my opinion. David Johnson's going to do his thing this year. I'm not saying he's going to be the number 1 fantasy running back or the number 1 fantasy player like he was back in 2015, I think. It was 2015, 2016, that range
somewhere
there.
Around there,
when the Cardinals were really good with Carson Palmer and all them. But I think that's enough to push them over the edge, over the Steelers this week. I think it's going to be a very close 1-possession game. I got Houston this week.
You make some good points, but my thing is that I don't have any faith in Houston's secondary to be able to stop Juju Smith.
I can't even name anybody in the secondary.
Me neither. And I have followed football religiously since I was like 7 years old, and I can't name a single person on that secondary. Their front 4 is good, but like that's about it. And the Steelers have a decent offensive line, so they can at least dumb it down. And then it's like you said, Jordan, the Steelers secondary is just out of this world, and the rest of their defense is too. So I don't really think that Houston has much of a chance. It's like Pat said, I feel really bad for Deshaun Watson. He's one of my top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league. He's like the Kemba Walker of the NFL before Kemba moved to Boston, of course. But like
Deshaun's New England.
Please.
That's a great idea. I'm with that.
Relax there.
Spark that up again.
But yeah, I got Pittsburgh this week. I don't think it'll be close. I'm not very high on Houston this year at all. But that being said, I think it'll be a little bit of a game simply because, like you said, Anthony, Deshaun has that kind of mindset to where he can just take over and simply will his team to be in a game at any given time. And they've hung close with 2 of the best teams in the league in Kansas City and Baltimore. So you can't really fault them too much for losing to them. But it's still, the Steelers are better than people expected them to be this year, I would say.
Yeah.
And I like them this week.
And the last thing I'll say on that is one of the reasons I'm picking Pittsburgh is because I think out of the 3 that they faced, definitely the Steelers defense is superior to KC. That's not a question. Then you get into the debate of who's better, Ravens or Steelers. I would still take the Steelers defense over the Ravens. So to say that Deshaun Watson, barely eclipsed 250 yards against the Chiefs, had a pick, then went and faced a tough Ravens defense where you kind of hope that the Texans can hold their own on defense and limit Lamar Jackson. That didn't happen. And again, Lamar Jackson struggled to get eclipsed 250 yards and again threw a pick. So it doesn't give me confidence to say, well, Watson can kind of just turn it on when he's about to face the hardest defense he's seen this year. And that Houston wide receiver core is so on and off for me. I think Will Fuller had no targets or no catches this past week. Brandon Cooks was awful in week 1. So it's so on off. It's like they got 2 boom or bust guys. They either get 4 receptions for 100 yards or they don't catch a ball. and you just can't have that. They don't have anyone else to rely on that offense. So, Watson can only do so much. All right, next game, we've got Cincinnati and Philly. Two teams that I think have I would say the Bengals have actually impressed more than they have disappointed. But Philly, on the other hand, is sorely disappointed the entire state of Pennsylvania. Wentz looks horrible. He's gotten now criticism from Doug Peterson and saying he doesn't know why he's regressing. I don't know why he said that about his quarterback, but maybe it'll spark something. But
some Bruce Arians stuff right there.
Yeah, Wentz looks bad. That he looked bad last week, and you can't really blame it on his offensive line this time because he didn't get sacked. Joe Burrow looks very good in the first couple of weeks. And then you got Joe Mixon, on the other hand, who has started off very slow, and you're thinking maybe he just has to build a rapport with Burrow. But I think this is an interesting game. Not a lot of people would have thought that before week one that this would be close. But I think you could pick either side and be, kind of able to back it up pretty well. I'm going to stick with the Eagles. I picked the Eagles last week. Didn't turn out very well, but I think Wentz is due for a bounce back game sometime. And I'm honestly just going to pick the Eagles until he actually does. But no, I think the Bengals defense is a bit weak, and hopefully Wentz can dissect it. But I know the talent he has, so it's hard for me to pick against him. And I'm just expecting a bounce back game from Wentz.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think. I don't think it should be given the talent. I think that or the potential that Philadelphia has. But like you said, Jordan, Wentz has really stunk it up like really bad. A week one's kind of excusable, but last week is just, not something you like to see. But Joe Burrow, on the other hand, I think has been everything that people have expected him to be. He's shown poise in the pocket. He's making good throws. So I think this game has potential to really go either way if both teams play their potential. I'm not worried about the Bengals more than I am about the Eagles. Like, the Bengals defense isn't good, but given how Carson Wentz has played, I don't know if he can take advantage of that. So if Wentz has a bounce back game, the Eagles very well could win, but assuming, things continue the way they're going, I'm going to go with the Bengals, but it's going to be like a narrow victory, I think.
Yeah, I agree with Pat, and I feel like both quarterbacks in this game are playing with a chip on their shoulder. You got Carson Wentz, who had two absolutely horrendous weeks 1 and 2. That offensive line can't protect him, and if they do what they did week 1, I think any defensive line or any front seven for that matter in the NFL can get to him. And we know that Cincinnati's front seven isn't all that great. I wouldn't even put it up there, maybe towards the bottom tier in terms of front sevens in the NFL. But at the same time, I feel like Joe Burrow is playing with a chip on his shoulder because all that man has known is winning. His LSU days, his high school days, it's all he's known. And now he's starting his professional career 0-2. He's going to want to get that first win, spark some hope in the city of Cincinnati by beating the team that just won the Super Bowl 2-3 years ago. I mean, that's not really saying much, but it's most of the talent is still there if you really look at it, besides Nick Foles, because I think he's the only player that's remembered from that team. R.I.P. Nick Foles' career.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
But Cincinnati's offense just impressed me. I think A.J. Green is finally getting back in the groove. Like we said, it's only a matter of time before Joe Mixon gets that connection with Joe Burrow. Tyler Boyd's balling out. I think he's a very underrated second man for that offense. Man, this is really a tough one. But from what I've seen of Joe Burrow, he can take a game to the very end against decent teams. The Chargers had a decent defense. If it wasn't for A.J. Green's questionable pass interference call in the end zone, they win that game because he caught that ball. So for that reason, I'm going to take the Bengals this week.
I've got to side with, no surprise, Pat and Anthony over Jordan.
Over Jordan.
I'm going with Cincy here. And I disagree with you on one thing, Anthony. I think that Cincinnati's front four is underrated. They've still got Geno Atkins. They've got Hubbard on the defensive end. They've got some decent pieces on that front four. And I think that they're going to be able to take advantage of Philadelphia's depleted offensive line.
I think any team could.
Yeah, exactly. But Cincinnati especially, in my opinion, they don't have a great front seven or defensive unit overall, but I think their front four is definitely their strength on the defensive side. I think that they've shown that they can compete offensively with most teams in the league, maybe not the top tiers like Seattle, Dallas. Speaking of, the argument of whether or not Carson Wentz is better than Dak Prescott is officially put to bed. Because
it's over.
It's over. Dak Prescott is hands down.
Even Jared Goff is close now.
Well, let's be nice. Yeah. Let's be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it. I mean, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
It's like a top 6 quarterback, so that doesn't look good to me.
But I believe that Joe Burrow is going to be able to take advantage of mistakes in the Philadelphia defense. I think that Cincinnati's front four is going to wreak havoc on Carson Wentz in the backfield, and I don't think that the Philadelphia offense is going to be able to do much. I thought that Philadelphia was going to get a playoff spot this year. Now I don't know. They have not impressed me at all, and I think that their season is in grave danger if they can't pull this one out. Maybe we see Jalen Hurts next week. Who knows? But I don't think they take this win.
Yeah. Picking against the first place leader. Interesting strategy.
Hey, that's the only way I'm going to catch up with you.
I mean, it worked last week because I think we had some differing picks and you guys caught up. So, all right. Next game is another one that on before week 1 you'd think wouldn't really be a contest, but it's San Fran and the New York Giants. Now that San Fran has been hit with a multitude of injuries.
You still think this one's going to be a contest?
I mean, more of a contest than what I would have thought before week 1.
Okay,
yeah.
That's fair. So instead of 49-3.
What's up?
So instead of it being 49-3, it's going to be like 35-10 or 35-13.
Nah, man, I don't know.
I don't know.
Nick Mullins at QB. You're without Mostert. You're without Tevin Coleman.
I thought Garoppolo was questionable.
I think they just announced today that Mullins is starting.
Who's their running back?
Jared
Gore.
Oh, McKinnon.
Frank Gore.
Frank Gore.
But yeah, I don't know. I think this game is honestly going to be close. I know Anthony wants to hate on the Giants a lot, but I think neither. I mean, Saquon Barkley being out for the Giants is like a huge hit, and that's like their whole
killer.
Say Freeman.
But yeah, I'm going to go with the 49ers just because I can't really bet with the Giants and have confidence. But it's another toss-up game for me. I think Daniel Jones has enough talent, especially with he has a pretty deep wide receiver core in Slayton, Golden Tate, and I think Sterling Shepard is slated to play, but maybe
he got
not.
put on IR.
Okay, so then just Evan Ingram. You've got 3 targets right there. Plus, like Graham said, the signing of Devontae Freeman, Deion Lewis out of the backfield. They've got weapons. They've got enough weapons. Can the 49ers defense still hold up and stop that? Probably. But I think it's going to be a shit show of a game with Daniel Jones and Nick Mullins leading the way for their offenses. But I'll take 49ers by like a touchdown or 2.
Yeah, I think the Niners obviously are very weakened. I think it's also going to be interesting to see how this game plays out because there's a whole storyline with the turf in MetLife Stadium being sticky or whatever Kyle Shanahan called it.
Turf monster.
Yeah, the league's probably going to do something about that. But I think that the 49ers still have enough talent and that Nick Mullins is serviceable. You know, when he played 2 years ago, he was actually like not bad. So I think that the Giants just aren't going to be able to overcome their lack of talent. And the Niners still have some solid pieces on that D-line for sure, despite their injuries. And we all know the Giants don't have an offensive line. So I'm thinking the Niners are going to win. It's going to be closer than obviously we thought at the beginning of the season or even last season. But yeah, I think the Niners are going to win comfortably.
Yeah, I think everyone forgets about Nick Mullins, that he's not as experienced, but he's fresh right now. I remember when he came in, it was a few years ago, when I think Blaine Gabbert went down for the Niners. This was before Jimmy G, or maybe it was with Jimmy G. I don't know.
When Jimmy G tore his ACL.
When he tore his ACL. And Nick Mullins came in, and he absolutely lit it up on Thursday night against the Raiders, who I think the Niners have obviously the Niners have a better team now than they did that year. And I think the Raiders defense that year was better than the Giants defense this year. And I just don't have a lot of faith in the Giants. Every time I bet money on them, they end up They always disappoint me. I don't have faith in Daniel Jones. I think his decision making is just awful. His ball protection is awful. Like every time he gets sacked, he's fumbling. Like he's a liability when it comes to turnovers. So just for that fact, I don't have any faith in the Giants anymore. 49ers by like 10.
You're all wrong. I got the
Oh
Giants
my
this week.
God.
I got the Giants, man.
Man, there you go with that bullshit.
Hey,
See,
we had
listen-
the Giants last week. How'd that work out, Graham? How'd that work
Okay,
out?
okay. To be fair, they would have won that game had Saquon not gone down. But here's the thing.
All right. Maybe.
Chicago's defense, I think, is better than the depleted 49ers defense. I would say
Right.
that. I think that it's worth the risk to say that the 49ers depleted front four won't be able to take advantage of the Giants offensive line in the way that they would have otherwise.
They have
Because
Ziggy Ansah now. I don't know if
They
he's
do.
playing this week, but they just
do.
signed Ziggy Ansah. I think
Yeah.
he's going to make a big difference.
but I think that if you double him, then it makes it a little bit easier on the rest of the line. And I don't hate Daniel Jones. It's like Jordan said, he has decent pieces around him at the offensive skill positions. Daniel Jones showed flashes. I didn't get to watch much of the game this past week, but in week 1, he showed flashes other than that horrible pick on the goal line. And the Giants defense, honestly, it's not great, but the 49ers offense doesn't scare me, especially when they're without their top 2 running backs, their number 1 wide receiver, and their starting quarterback. So if there was a week to pick the Giants to win an upset, it's this one. So I got the Giants this week.
Yeah, that's a good statement to sum it up. If you're going to pick the Giants, this is the week to pick them.
Exactly.
Put
All
your
right,
lock
so-
of the week on it. Put it as your lock of the week, Graham. Do it.
Make it my
no balls.
upset of the week.
Yeah.
Fair.
Lock of the week on the Giants. Hey, I just want to mention that my lock of the week last week, Steelers Broncos, did hit.
I don't even
I don't
remember.
even remember.
Was.
I don't
risky
remember what my
pick.
lock. I think it was Niners Jets. I think that was my lock.
Okay. All right. So the next game we got, I'm just going down the list. So we're just going to go with the Patriots now. This is their 1:00 game this week. Vegas versus the Pats. Patriots coming off a rough loss to the Seahawks where we were literally yards away from winning. But it definitely put a lot of confidence in Patriots fans and Cam Newton himself, knowing that he can dice up, not a great defense, but one that, should have slowed Cam Newton down to an extent. And then Vegas coming off of an extraordinary upset against the
Yes,
against
sir.
the Saints. Yours truly, Pat Senior picked the Raiders last week at the dismay of the rest of us, and paid off.
Tell them to bring me my money.
So, I think this is another game that before week 1 you wouldn't have thought was going to be close. Now, the Raiders look a lot better than people would have expected. And Josh Jacobs looks like an elite running back, like how we expected him to look this year. And to add on to that, Darren Waller looks fantastic. And now there's arguments about whether Darren Waller is better than Travis Kelce or any of those top guys.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
I'm not saying he is. I think Kelsey's the best tight end in the league, but I've seen people talk about it. But either way, Waller is consensus probably top 5 tight end in the league now, and he's definitely shown he can be Derek Carr's safety net. So I think we're gonna. I don't know. I think we're gonna have a sweep on this one. I'm gonna pick the Pats. I picked the Pats last week, so it's kind of hard for me not to pick them against the Raiders. I think Newton showed that he can pass for 400. Near 400 yards at least against the Seattle defense, who was definitely beat up, but still had pieces like Jamal Adams. So it wasn't some walk in the park. And now you're facing a Raiders defense, which is worse. So I think that the Patriots get carried by Newton again. And our defense is still, whether people want to admit it or not, is still an elite defense with Stephon Gilmore. Our secondary's up at the top there as maybe the best secondary in the league. Derek Carr just picked apart a Saints defense, which again doesn't impress me that much. And I think that coming off of a big loss like that, there's going to be a lot of motivation from pretty much everyone. And not to mention, you're going to get James White back, hopefully, after the tragedy that hit him. And he definitely is going to help the team out as well. So I'm going to go with the Pats by a good amount. I'll say by 14.
Before Pat goes, you bring up Jamal Adams. I just want to say that Julian Edelman is now legally Jamal Adams' father. Keep going.
I think we'll all agree there. I'm going to agree with Jordan. I really don't think there's much debate. The Patriots should definitely be able to handle this Raiders team. Obviously, they had an upset last week against the Saints, but the reason I picked the Raiders last week is because I'm really not sold on the Saints at all. I think Drew Brees hasn't impressed this year, really. They're without Michael Thomas, obviously, and they don't really have a lot of receiving threats outside of him. So the Raiders were able to take advantage of that, but also the Saints don't have the secondary that we do, and I don't know if I have faith in Derek Carr to be able to pick apart an elite secondary. Josh Jacobs, obviously, is probably a consensus top 5, top 6 running back in the league in his second year. I just think Cam Newton's going to be able to pick apart this Raiders defense. They really don't have any names to scare me on that side of the ball. So I'm going to go with Jordan. Patriots by, I think, 10 to 14. Shouldn't be that close.
I don't know. I feel like every game this year is going to be, like, outside of the Jets games and maybe this game for the Patriots is going to be an absolute battle just because of what we showed last Sunday. Like, I feel like every week the Patriots are going to take, like, 2 to 5 years off my life. But come playoffs, I'll be dead because they just give me a heart attack every week. But this team really, I have a lot of faith in Cam Newton now. Like, my whole phone wallpaper, Cam Newton, everything. I type like him on Instagram and everything now. But he proved that he can do it all. He had 95.7% of our total yardage
Yeah.
last
I think it's
week?
97.
Yeah.
Or some crazy high percentage like that. I'm not going to say he's a one-man show, but
You
he
can
was
say
a
that.
one-man show
It's
last
like
week.
Russell Wilson numbers.
Yeah.
He was a one-man show last week. And now that teams know he could both throw the ball and run it, it's going to be much harder to play defense against him. Defensive coordinators aren't going to know what to look for. They can try, but I don't think it's going to be to any prevail just because he's going to run. And then before you know it, he's faking the handoff and he's taking off the ball himself. And then he fakes the handoff. You think he's going to run, and then he's bombing it down the field to Julian Edelman for 50 yards. His offense is just going to be so unpredictable. The defense, on the other hand, I don't know. Granted, we played Russell Wilson last week, but he pretty much got every deep ball he wanted. He threw for 5 touchdowns. It kind of scares me a little bit. But at the same time, it's the Raiders. The Saints don't impress me, but the Raiders really don't either, even though I'm a huge Derek Carr fan. But at the same time, I just don't. I think the Patriots are really motivated to come back this week. They got Kansas City the week after. But as of right now, we're on to Las Vegas, so Patriots are going to win this week. I'm going to make it my lock of the week.
Another clean sweep this week. I think the Pats will win, but the difference here is that I am impressed with the Raiders. I have a little bit more faith in the Saints defense than you guys did, apparently. The problem with the Saints is the same problem that they've had for the last 2-3 years, is that they're afraid to feed Alvin Kamara. This past week, there was no reason that Alvin Kamara shouldn't had at least 45% of their touches on offense. Absolutely no reason, especially without Michael Thomas. And he just did not. He had a good game, but he didn't have the kind of touches that he should have when the Saints were in that kind of position against a Raiders defense, which doesn't really scare me. The thing is that I don't believe that, I think that this Raiders offense is complete, and their strength is at the tight end position, which is something that we have historically struggled to defend, to be honest. Especially this year. I don't think that our coverage linebackers are as strong as they have been in the past. So I think that Waller and the other guys that they have up front, Jason Witten, I think that they're going to be able to do a little bit more than people might expect them to. That being said, Cam Newton should be able to pick apart this Raiders defense. The running game should be strong as well because Alvin Kamara was able to produce when he did get the ball. I think that we're going to be able to put up points, but I think that the Raiders will too. I think that they'll game plan around it. I think that John Gruden's a pretty good coach, but I think it'll be closer than you guys think it'll be. I think the Raiders cover, but I think we pull out the win.
Before we move on, Jordan, I just want to talk about Cam Newton a little bit. He obviously he impressed all of us, but his ability to extend the play is what really got me.
Oh yeah.
Because he wasn't sacked once in where he was in many situations that Tom Brady would have been sacked. I'm going to say it. Tom Brady would have been sacked. He would have just taken the sack.
Mm-hmm.
And this is with our new style of play. Brady just wouldn't have worked this year. Like, I know we were all sad to see Tom go, but he just wouldn't have worked this year. The check down to the running back bullshit just doesn't work. Teams can build around that. We obviously couldn't put up points last year because of that. And the addition of Cam Newton just gives a whole different life to this offense. The way he was, I thought he was going down for sure on one of the plays. Throws an absolute bomb down the field. Even though some of the plays that he escaped, he didn't get much out of, but he was still not losing yards, even if it was an incompletion. Or hell, he would pick up a first down just by taking it off with his feet. Just things. I'm over Tom Brady. I know I sound like some high school kid that's trying to get over his ex. Yeah, I'm over that bitch or whatever. But Brady wouldn't have worked this year. And everyone's telling me, oh, you miss Tom Brady. I'm like, not really this year. Just because I see what he's doing in Tampa Bay and I see Cam Newton is doing so much more here than he would have this year. And yeah, that's about it. Cam Newton's our quarterback this year. I love that man.
I mean, and then the argument starts to boil down to, is it because Brady wasn't bought in last year? Because you see Newton developing a relationship with Harry. You see him developing a good relationship with Bird, the one that he already had because they played in Carolina together. But when you see, those two guys, specifically Harry, getting a lot of passes, I think he had like 8 receptions last week. You question whether Brady just was done with this rookie build up the wide receiver core. I just want veteran wide receivers and that's it. Because, you look at him in Tampa Bay, he hasn't looked bad. So it's kind of the question of just like, I think it comes into question whether Brady really wanted to play last year and whether he really wanted to compete for the Patriots. And I know it's like a tough pill to swallow because you'd like to think Brady always wanted to play for the Patriots and that it wasn't his fault he left and that we didn't offer him a contract and stuff like that. But I think it's a real question whether he really was motivated last year at all. Felger and Maz, if you aren't from the New England area, good because you don't have to listen to them. But I had them on for like half an hour Monday, and of course they can't look at the positives of why we won. They have to look at all the negatives. And one of them was saying that it's not so much about how good Newton is; it's about just that Brady last year was just so just distant from the team in a figurative sense that Cam Newton looks a lot better than he actually is, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I think Cam Newton is a great quarterback. I think he's proven that you don't just throw for 300 yards and be an average quarterback or 400 yards or whatever. But I think part
Gardner
of it
Minshew has entered the chat.
Hey. Do not slander Gardner Minshew on this podcast.
But I think it's a valid argument to say whether Brady was actually bought in last year, and I think it's showing that N'Keal Harry has the talent, and that the questioning of N'Keal Harry's talent last year was just based off people trying to align with Brady as much as they can. And now that he's gone, people kind of see that like, okay, well maybe, you heard about the reports in practice and stuff that he wasn't necessarily, like I said, bought into the new receiver core and developing receivers. He just wanted to get those veteran guys and go win a Super Bowl. And it's interesting to see, what's going on now with Newton. You guys got anything on that, or should we move on?
I agree. I just want to say, I think there was a report or whatever. News came out. I think Brady used to, last year, he would yell at the young guys. He'd have no patience with them. And, granted, I understand because he's 42 years old at that time. He doesn't really have time to develop a receiver for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But Cam Newton, on the other hand, he's 31. He's not getting any younger. So the fact that he's taking time out of his day and out of his routine to mentor these young guys and make sure they actually get better, I think shows that he really cares about his teammates on a personal level. And obviously he loves the game of football and everything, but he's not going to let that, overcome his nature of being a good guy, being supportive, being that leader in the locker room. I think it's something that's really refreshing for the Patriots locker room and their team. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. Nothing, Graham.
Go Cam.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see. That'll be an interesting game. 1 o'clock this week, and then, like Anthony said, you got the Chiefs next week. I believe that's 4 o'clock. I would assume it's 4 o'clock. So we're getting down to the last couple 1 o'clock games. We got Tennessee and Minnesota. Two teams that, I think I would say have disappointed to start the season. There's a lot of expectation for Tennessee, and they haven't exactly started off on the right foot or with any fire. Derrick Henry looks, I mean, he doesn't look like how we finished last season.
I tried to tell y'all. He's a
Aren't you
late
high
season
on the
running back.
Are you high on the Titans though?
Yes, I am, and they're 2-0. So
They're
like,
2-0. Yeah, they're 2-0.
I'm
I
not
know,
complaining. But I tried to tell you week one, Derrick Henry is a late season running back. I just have enough faith in the rest of their team for them to be able to produce without him.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. So yeah, maybe it's not the right way to say that the Tennessee's disappointed, but I don't think that they haven't picked up where they left off. I'll say that in the sense that I don't think they look as good as they did at the end of the year and in the playoffs last year. But they are 2-0, like you said. Now they're facing a Minnesota team who is 0-2, I believe. Yeah, 0-2.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins looks awful, and their offense looks pretty stagnant right now. Dalvin Cook has had flashes, but even he's not being overly efficient on his runs, and that's kind of what helped carry the offense last year. So I think, like Graham said, he's high on Tennessee. I've been kind of low on them. I don't think that they're making the playoffs, honestly. But in this week, I think I'm going to go with Minnesota as the underdog to get their first win. Kind of how Anthony said he can't see the Texans starting off 0-3. I really can't see the Vikings starting off 0-3. I think this is a game that they can pull out. And yeah, I think Cousins has a bounce back game. He had a horrible game this past week. I think he had like
It's brutal. He had like 3 picks, I think, or 2 picks,
yeah,
whatever.
and like not under like 150 yards or something like that. It was just not good. But I think he bounces back. I still have confidence in that Vikings offense with the three-headed monster of Thielen, Cook, and Cousins from last year. And I think they're going to be able to dissect the Tennessee team, who just almost got beat by the Dolphins, which doesn't instill much confidence.
Jags.
Gardner.
Who's
Gardner?
Oh,
They didn't play Miami.
who did Miami play?
Buffalo.
Oh, that's yeah, you're right. Okay, so who almost got beat by the Jags. Still, my point stands.
Yeah, this is tough because the Vikings have looked terrible, but I also do not like the Titans at all. But Ryan Tannehill kind of proved me wrong this past week. But like Jordan said,
He went insane.
He did.
Ryan Tannehill had a day.
Yeah. But I really can't see the Vikings falling to 0-3. I mean, if they do, I think they might as well kind of blow it up because they really have nothing to play for. But I think I believe the Vikings are home. Not that it really makes a difference.
Yeah, it is. They are.
I'll go with the Vikings. I think they're going to get something going this week. I think once they find their groove, like you said, Jordan, they have a three-headed monster kind of offensively. And I think their defense is, obviously it's not elite like it used to be, but it's good enough where they can hopefully make some plays and put this Tennessee offense to a halt. So I'll go with the Vikings, but I think it's going to be a low scoring, like teens or low 20s. And they're going to win by a couple points. Nothing huge.
Yeah, I originally picked Tennessee, but this game is just so tough. I went back and forth a little bit. Tennessee just really doesn't impress me. I think out of the 2-0 teams outside of Chicago, they're the least deserving. I think they're the worst of the bunch. But I can't see Minnesota going 0-2. I'm not going to completely count out Kirk Cousins yet, even though he's looked like absolute garbage. But he still has guys like Adam Thielen. I don't know if Kyle Rudolph is still there. Or is that like...
He is, but he's not.
He's not very good.
Either is the other tight end or Smith. They're not doing anything. I dropped him.
And you still got Dalvin Cook, obviously, who you can obviously rely on. And you forget that Yannick Ngakoue is on the Vikings now, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my players are just all confused. But the loss of Anthony Barr is just going to kill them as well.
Yeah, he's a huge
still got guys like Harrison Smith in that backfield. But the Titans just almost lost to the Jaguars. And that just doesn't say a lot for me. So
Yeah.
like I said, I can't. Minnesota's a team with a lot to prove this year. I can't see them dropping to 0-3. I'm going to pick the Vikings.
All right, Graham. What did
All
you
right,
got?
Graham.
Titans,
Graham,
I think we
baby.
know
Graham's
who's
gonna go
got
with the Titans. He has to.
Tighten up.
it.
Listen here. Shut up.
Shut the fuck. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck.
Shut up. Listen here. Here's the thing. This is so much more about. First of all, I was not high on the Vikings coming into this season at all. I think they're going to miss the playoffs. I don't think they have much to play for. Their defense doesn't impress me. Their offense can underwhelm at a moment's notice. And every time I bet on Kirk Cousins, he disappoints me. I've picked the Vikings both of the last 2 weeks. And the fact that they not only lost, but only put up 11 points against the Indianapolis Colts and Phillip fucking Rivers, that's horrible. That's horrible. This is about the Vikings being bad. Like, they're just bad. They're 0-2.
I want to point
They're-
something out though. The Vikings have never won in Indianapolis. I think it's a mental thing.
Okay.
They're cursed. It's like they're cursed. The Vikings historically are like one of the most. I hate to cut you off here, Graham, but like, if you just look at their history, it's so unfortunate. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they've had so many unreal talents, and they have nothing to show for it.
You're right. And so I'll give you that. But, like, the Vikings don't impress me at all. The Titans, they've managed to get to 2-0 without A.J. Brown being at 100%, without Derrick Henry performing to his full capacity. And the thing with the Vikings is that their offense is heavily reliable on the run game and the deep ball. Kirk Cousins doesn't look like he can throw the deep ball right now. And even if he suddenly decides to be able to throw the deep ball, the Titans have one of the best safety tandems in the league between Byard and Vaccaro. So I trust their ability to take that away from the Vikings. I don't think they're going to be able to get anything going because, like you said, their underneath game, when they do turn to it in the passing game, relies on Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith, and neither of them are doing anything right now. I don't think the Vikings are going to be able to do anything. I'm done betting on them. I wasn't high on them coming into this season anyway, and it just seems like the time is up a lot quicker than I thought it would be. So I'm going with the Titans this week.
All right.
One thing I want to say, just to finish it off, is like I said, Derrick Henry hasn't looked overly impressive. I think he had somewhere around 80 yards, 25 attempts last week, which is not something you see from Derrick Henry a lot. You usually see him eclipse. If he's getting 25 carries, you usually see him near 120 yards ish. So my point would be this: how long can you ride Ryan Tannehill? I'm not high on Ryan Tannehill, so for me to see
he went
him,
absolutely off last
I
week.
agree. I agree. I'm saying how long can you ride him and how long can he keep that up? Because right now he needs to throw 4 touchdowns for the Titans to barely win against the Jaguars.
You're right. You have a valid point, but the Vikings defense, like the Vikings corners, are
It's not
good.
Yeah.
So you think the Jaguars defense is better than the Vikings defense?
Yes.
I think that's
I can
At least,
see
in
the
the, at
debate
least in
there,
the at
but-
least in the cornerback facet of things.
That's true.
All around, maybe not. But if Ryan Tannehill can expose the Jaguars cornerbacks, he can sure as hell expose the Vikings cornerbacks.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. I think the
that's
Vikings have more big names, definitely.
But they're at the safety, linebacker, and defensive line positions. They're
Right.
not because
Right.
Xavier Rhodes left, and he was garbage when he was there anyway. At least last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting game to watch. All right, so we're coming down to the last 3 1 o'clocks, and then we'll move into the 4 o'clock. We got Washington and Cleveland. I think this is. I guess I can't say that it's consensus because I'm gonna have Cleveland in this game. Last week before the Thursday night, I had said that I think Nick Chubb has a night, and I think Odell Beckham proves why.
And
why
I
he's still
picked
that
him.
top
I picked
receiver.
Nick Chubb. I picked Nick Chubb for my coworker's like daily fantasy thing for that night, and he almost won like a lot of freaking money. He broke even because I picked AJ Green. I think I had Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Joe Burrow, and Tyler Boyd on that lineup, and AJ Green was the only one that was kind of iffy.
Yeah.
But I could have won some big money there. But
Yeah,
Shit happens.
he exploded. But again, the people that were doubting Nick Chubb are just ridiculous. I don't know why. After 2 weeks against 2 of the roughest run defenses in the league, after starting off against one of the roughest run defenses in the league, and then entering that game, people thinking that he's like he was just a flash in the pan. He's not going to continue what he did last year. Hunt's going to take him over. I mean, I didn't even think it was like, I wasn't like impressed. I was like, yeah, that's what I expect from Nick Chubb. And he showed why he's still, one of the best running backs in the league. And then Washington, they've definitely surprised people too. I don't think anyone expected much from them. And Terry McLaurin had a great week last week and showed that he can be the number one on that team. And their victory against the Eagles in week 1 is shows that they can compete with decent teams at least. But for me, I think this is an easy pick. I'm going to pick the Browns. Odell Beckham had a night on Thursday. Like I said, that two-headed monster of Chubb and Hunt is just ridiculous. Both of them are being efficient in their running. Hunt had
and the passing game.
Yeah, and Hunt had like 8 carries for like 80 yards or something. It was ridiculous. He's just literally running all over teams. And they've got so many weapons on the field at once that it's going to be tough for me to bet against with a Washington team that I don't know. I still don't have much confidence in.
Yeah, I think on paper this should be a clean sweep among us anyway. Cleveland is so much more talented, just overall, and especially on the offensive side of the ball, than Washington. That running back tandem is definitely the best in the league. I think there's not even a question about it. But I think it also depends on what version of the Browns we get, because the Washington football team has shown that they're able to compete with, those mid-tier teams, and I think that's where the Browns are right now. And if the Browns, play down to their competition like they often do, this could be a game that gets away from them with a couple of key turnovers or something like that. I think the Browns will ultimately pull it out and go to 2-1, which is, huge for them. I think the Browns just, are talented enough where they should be able to win pretty easily. Don't have Baker throw the ball too much. Just ground and pound. You have the best run game in the league, so, why change it? So I'd say, yeah, Browns, definitely. Easy pick.
I remember after week 1, everyone was like, "Oh, watch out for Washington. They're going to be really good." And then they got destroyed by Arizona. That's not really. That's besides the fact. The Cleveland Odell Baker Mayfield experiment. I think that if it doesn't work this year, they're just going to give up on it. And I think we've all pretty much agreed on that in the past. And Cleveland, this is just they're way more talented on paper when you look at the matchup. So I'm going to say Cleveland by a lot this week. I don't think this game's going to be very close.
I agree. I think that Cleveland, first of all, people clown me for being high on Cleveland going in, especially after what happened last year. I picked against Cleveland last week, actually. But that was more of me being high on Joe Burrow than it was about me not liking Cleveland. But they proved me wrong. I'm glad that Baker proved me wrong, was able to pull out a win. And even though they relied heavily on Chubb and Hunt last week, Baker played pretty well when he was, when he had to, when he did pass 16 to 23, like 250 plus yards, I want to say. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Yeah. So that's about a Baker stat line right there. But if Chubb and Hunt can keep playing this week the way they did last week, I see no reason why they shouldn't be able to. This should be an easy win for Cleveland.
Yeah.
And this will be a big confidence win because they go up to 2-1. They are a franchise that has historically not gone over 500 very frequently, and it's a big momentum win for them going into next week. So I think that this stretch of 2 games right here, even though it's just Cincinnati and it's just Washington, it could be something that Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, all those guys need, to be able to carry their production into the following weeks and the rest of the season, hopefully, for me, since I'm high on Cleveland. But yeah, I don't want to look like an idiot, but I've got Cleveland this week, and I don't think it'll be close.
And I mean, like you said, you mentioned Baker Mayfield's stat line this past week against the Bengals. And is it overly impressive against a weaker Bengals defense? No. But when you have Chubb and you have Hunt in your backfield, and this is true for any quarterback that has a elite running back or an elite running back tandem. You don't need to throw for 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns to win. You just don't. You can
Correct.
throw for a mediocre 200 to 250 or even under 200 and get a touchdown or two and still win the game. So people complaining that Baker Mayfield was still like an average quarterback, he doesn't need to be some all-star guy who is, developing into like a Russell Wilson or anything. He just needs to be serviceable, and he wasn't last year, which is one of the reasons why the Browns were so poor. So if he can keep up what he's doing, like you said, and then Chubb and Hunt can keep running all over teams, and I see no reason why to bet against those two. They've looked great the past 2 weeks. It's going to be hard to bet against the Browns, honestly, in many of the games they play. All right, so we've got 2 more 1 o'clock games left. This one here is LA and Buffalo. I'm actually going to have this one be my upset of the week. I'm going to have the Rams beating the Bills. I think Josh Allen has looked outstanding in these past 2 games, undoubtedly. But if you guys, know that I'm pretty high on Jared Goff, and I've got confidence in Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp being those two guys. I think it's one of the best 1-2 punches in terms of receivers. Their backfield's still a mess, with Akers going down and now Malcolm Brown and Henderson like fighting over the spot. But with the emergence of Tyler Higbee, their passing game, I think, takes a huge step this week, and I actually think they dice up this Bills defense.
Out of pocket for that shit. Way out of pocket.
And I'm taking the Rams by a touchdown.
That is a hot take, but I actually think that's perfectly justifiable because the Rams have played good football this year. I almost said good basketball. Good football this year. And the Bills, despite all their talent, as Graham writhes in disbelief right now, the Bills have actually, they've played the Jets and the Dolphins, and they barely beat the Dolphins. So, taking nothing away really from Josh Allen and the Bills, but giving more credit to the Rams, I think it's going to be a competitive game. And the Rams very well could pull this out just because they are a very talented and star-studded team. But I think I'm going to go.
Oh, no.
I think.
You just gassed Goff up, and now you're going to pick against them.
I'll go with Rams. I'll go with Jordan because the Bills need to show that they can take down a talented team. I think the Rams have obviously done that already versus the Cowboys, and the Bills haven't really had a real test yet. So this is going to be a real test for them. I think the Rams have been tested all season. I forget who they played this past week.
They played the Dolphins week 2. I forget who they played week 1.
They played the Cowboys.
Jets.
No, I mean,
I'm talking
the Rams.
The Jets.
The Jets and the Dolphins, the Bills played.
Yeah, I meant the Rams, but they played the Eagles last week, and we all know about the Eagles. But
yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think they have a lot of talent. I think, excuse me, they can play up to their competition and really shock some people. So, yeah, I'll go with Jordan.
I'm gonna have to.
My bad. I forgot.
Right.
I'm
No
just
worries.
so passionate about this take.
You want to go first, then by all means.
No. Go ahead. I'll wait my turn.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to have to agree with Jordan and Pat on this one. I think the Rams are an extremely underrated team. Just because of I see Graham's not happy over there, but the Bills' identity this year is their defense. And we know that, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen are going to be really good, but their identity is that defense. And I feel like the Rams are a team. If you've ever played Superstar KO on Madden 20, I feel like they're the perfect mix between Sean McVay's offensive playbook and the Patrick Mahomes magicians.
The best defense is more offense.
There you go. Oh, that's great. I forgot about that. But yeah, I think the way Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are just able to absolutely light it up. They're both able to put up over 100 yards, each. And I think that if you can do that with a wide receiver core, I think you're pretty much set. You got Tyler Higbee, and still the running back position is in question. Their offensive line is still decent. And it's all a matter of whether Jared Goff shows up. And the last 2 weeks, he's been showing up. So I don't think that slows down this week. But at the same time, the Bills haven't really had a test yet. And I think their best test is against a great LA Rams defense. You got Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, 2 guys who are always in contention for Defensive Player of the Year, sometimes MVP, some would say. But I just feel like I'm really high on Josh Allen. Not that I'm a fan of his, but I think he's going to have an absolutely great year. But this week, I don't think it's the Bills' week this week. I got the Rams winning
Uh-oh.
I say the Rams by 3 or 4.
All right.
Ram.
Anthony, here's this one thing. You say that the Rams have a great defense. Name 3 players on their defense not named Aaron Donald or Jalen Ramsey.
All right.
Oh, come on.
So we got, is Robert Ayers still there?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, Dante Fowler. He's a really
Yeah,
good
they do
guy in
have
that
them.
linebacker core.
Brock
You got
still
Clay
there.
Matthews, who is still serviceable.
Yeah.
I think he got released.
Yeah, I think he's actually a
Did
free agent.
Damn.
Yeah.
But still, those two.
But you could still hold on, Graham. I agree that's a valid argument, but you can
That's a
still have
valid
a
argument, I
great
agree with that.
defense with 2. I mean, you're talking about Aaron Donald. He pretty much takes up. He's
You're
pretty much
right.
three
Okay.
guys on the defensive end.
I'm just saying, I think that you're right. Aaron Donald is a monster, the likes of which the league hasn't seen since J.J. Watt was in his prime. I completely agree with that statement. And Jalen Ramsey is a top 5 cornerback in the league, no question. However, Tre'Davious White is the best cornerback in the league, save for Stephon Gilmore. Okay? It's not even a doubt. He's number 2.
Jalen Ramsey's probably 3.
Probably, but I think that the gap
Y'all are
between
disrespecting Marlon Humphrey.
Marlon Humphrey's good, and Marcus Peters are both. I think they fell out the top 5. To be honest with you, I think
Yeah.
that they go 4 and 5 respectively. But I think Jalen Ramsey's better than both of them. That being said, you guys all talk about the Bills haven't seen a real test yet. Jared Goff hasn't seen a real secondary yet. So it goes both ways. I think
Yeah, that's fair.
Jared Goff is we've addressed this before. He's that quarterback who can go off against mediocre defenses all day. And Pat, you said this, and I think it speaks, or it holds true, that Jared Goff can play up, and the Rams can play up to his competition from time to time.
Mhm.
And I think that they're a team that can give some elite contenders some trouble a little bit further down the line. But the Bills have such a great defense, in my opinion, that I don't think that Jared Goff is going to be able to dice him up like Jordan says he will. And so and secondly, you go into the fact that Josh Allen has looked absolutely elite so far this season, given he's only played the Dolphins and the Jets. So take that with a grain of salt. But he's looked amazing. Devin Singletary is worth the hype. Stephon Diggs has played amazing. John Brown is still able to tear up down the field. Dawson Knox is underrated. I think that the Bills take this one and it won't be close.
So,
right.
Who do you think's going to win that matchup, Stephon Diggs or Jalen Ramsey?
I think that Jalen Ramsey will eventually best Stephon Diggs overall, but there will be plays when Diggs, like he's one of the best route runners in the league. He'll make plays where he'll get open and Josh Allen will be able to find him.
Best route runner in the league goes to Keenan Allen, by the way.
There are a couple right there at the top. Diggs is there, Allen is there, Devontae Adams is there. A lot of them are great route runners, but I think Stephon belongs right in that conversation.
You can't really debate picking with the Bills. I mean, I can't say anything that would be like, you're ridiculous for picking the Bills. But I think that offensively, the Rams have more weapons than the Bills. And to me,
I think it's close.
I think it's definitely close. But I'm not as high on Devin Singletary and Zach Moss as you are, presumably, because you said that you think the Singletary hype is well worth it. I think that those two are decent. I don't think either of them are some outstanding running back. And if Cam Akers,
Malcolm Brown,
I don't know if Cam Akers is coming back or not, but sure. But I think that Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Tyler Higbee is better than Stephon Diggs, John Brown, and Dawson Knox. So I mean,
better. I would argue that Singletary plays more of a part than Dawson Knox does. I think.
All right, fine. I would still stand by my statement.
It's a fair assertion. I just think that the Bills' defense is too good for you to just take it for granted that Jared Goff is going to dice him up.
No, I mean, he might not dice him up. I mean, that's kind of a hot take, but if it happens, you can quote me on it. If it doesn't, just forget that I said that.
Yeah, I think it's
go ahead.
a game that could go either way.
Ladies and gentlemen, you were listening
Couple things.
to the New Guys podcast where Jordan and Graham are once again disagreeing.
They're gross.
All right. So let's finish up the 1:00 games here. We got Chicago and Atlanta. This is a decent game. I think Chicago's at least proved last week that they have some ability to, have offensive prowess. David Montgomery looked decent. I mean, I'm not going to say Trubisky looked good because he didn't, but
prowess. They put up 17 points on the Giants.
But sure, but I think David Montgomery was touted last year as being like the guy in that offense, and I think that he showed that he can carry the load to an extent, and that was the big question mark. I think you have Allen Robinson, you have the number one receiver, you have Anthony Miller and Tariq Cohen as some supplements to those guys. I don't think either of them are a clear two. But then you also have David Montgomery, who didn't show up last year at all, who you kind of expected to be that starting guy. I think David Montgomery showing that he can, come near 100 yards, 100 scrimmage yards with just 20 carries, and he can find the end zone on receiving routes like he did. I think it gives the Bears a lot of confidence, personally. But Atlanta is still Atlanta, and they still were in an absolute shootout with the Cowboys last week. Matt Ryan has, I think, put up like somewhere around like 800 to 50 to 900 yards in the first 2 weeks. Calvin Ridley looks almost better than Julio Jones. And not to take anything away from Julio, but Calvin Ridley is really, really performing well in these first couple of weeks. So I'm gonna stick with Atlanta. I'm not gonna pick Chicago, but I think that Atlanta not only showed that their defense is a huge problem, considering they just collapsed against the Cowboys last week. I think they also showed that, the Bears also showed that they can compete on offense on every aspects of offense in terms of the passing game and the running game. Specifically, David Montgomery, I think he is going to play pretty well against this Atlanta defense. But again, I'm going to take Atlanta just because their offensive firepower is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jordan. I'm a big believer in Atlanta, at least on the offensive side of the ball. I can't believe what happened last week. I can, but
how about them Cowboys? How about them freaking Cowboys?
Shut up.
It's like the most painful thing I've ever seen, where the Atlanta players are just watching the ball go past.
That was so stupid.
10 yards. But again, I don't have any faith in Chicago. Yeah, they have a great defense, but Atlanta also, I think, has like the best offense in the league. If not, I know Graham will disagree with me on this, so I'll say they're top 5 offense in the league. Probably the best receiving core, or at least, somewhere very far up there, given the explosion of Calvin Ridley this year, which kind of helps with the Julio Jones situation. He's kind of been nursing a hamstring injury. But I think the Falcons are just going to take this. I don't think the Bears defense can hold them down. I think they've performed exceptionally well through the first 2 weeks. Matt Ryan's really going off this year. And Chicago's offensive potential is really low and can't take advantage of the fact that Atlanta's defense is awful. So I think it's going to be the Falcons. I don't think it's going to be close either. I think Chicago's just going to come out and lay an egg offensively, and Atlanta's going to be able to put up 20-something points. So I won't be able to do anything about it. And I want Calvin Ridley going off because he's carrying my fantasy team right now to an 0-2 start, but he's going off.
I mean, the Falcons are a shit show right now. Like, how do you not teach your players what the fucking rules of an onside kick are? Is that even coaching at that point if you're not telling them the rules of an onside kick? Because I feel like you got to be ready for anything in the NFL. Obviously, you got to be ready for any situation. You got to know what to do in any given situation, and to completely fucking collapse like that and not know what you're doing, like, somebody should be fired. Just fire that whole entire coaching staff. What is it going to be next week? The cornerbacks are going to forget that they have to run next to the fucking wide receiver to cover them and make sure they don't catch the ball. Like, what's going to be next? Like, I don't know what kind of drugs Arthur Blank is giving to these fucking coaches, because I don't believe in Dan Quinn anymore. Like, and I feel like the Falcons are a really good team. They just got to build up their defense. And it sucks that their defense is holding guys like Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley back, and Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst is actually a really good tight end. And that defense and that coaching staff is holding those guys back from being fucking great. They were great a few years ago. Obviously, they almost beat us in the Super Bowl, but some things just don't change with the choking, but they just frustrate me. And like I said earlier, Chicago is the least deserving 2-0 team right now. They I can name about, I don't know, 10 teams that aren't 2-0 right now that are better than the Bears. And I just don't have confidence
The
in them this week.
Vikings.
Exactly.
Maybe, actually. Maybe.
No, you're
I
right.
am I am really rooting for the Falcons this week just because I'm a big Julio Jones guy. But I think it's going to be close just because I think the Bears have one of the more underrated secondaries in the league. So I say the Falcons by one score. I think Mitchell Trubisky can hang around in there just because Atlanta's defense is just so atrocious.
I've never heard that sentence before. I think Mitchell Trubisky can hang around. I really I had to take a second.
He's got the weapons for it.
He hasn't got the arm.
Nah, I think that Atlanta will win. It's not a debate. Chicago's a pretender. I just have a couple things to say. Number one, if Atlanta somehow manages to lose this game, Dan Quinn will be fired by the time we record the next episode, and it's not a debate. He will be gone.
Yeah,
and number two,
but go ahead. Keep going.
Number two, you remember that play against the Cowboys this past week when Julio Jones was wide open on the trick play where Russell Gage threw it downfield?
That would have won me my fantasy week.
DeAndre Hopkins would have never dropped that ball.
That's cap. He would have dropped
DeAndre
it,
Hopkins would have never dropped that ball. And more importantly, DeAndre Hopkins would never be taken over for
Hopkins
the
would
number
never
one role on his own team.
Hopkins would have never been in that position because he can't beat his receiver downfield or beat his corner downfield.
Doesn't matter. He's just a monster. Like, so what?
I mean, I'm just saying.
They're both built different, all right? But they're built different.
They're built different.
You're right. I don't have anything against Julio. I'm just saying DeAndre Hopkins is better. But Atlanta, all in all, back to the point, Atlanta will win.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't have anything else to say on that. All right.
Oh, before we move on, we just talked about Dan Quinn. Let's take a little bet. Who's going to get fired first? Dan Quinn, bit of a wild card this week. Granted that he's playing Chicago. I can't see him losing. Adam Gase.
Adam Gase should be fired now. Even I don't care if the Jets actually put up 100 points next week. He should be fired. He's ruining that team. He's wasting Sam Darnold.
And Le'Veon Bell.
Sam Darnold is by no stretch of the imagination a great transcendent talent.
Le'Veon Bell in the grave. Like, he was hurt. He put him back in.
Le'Veon Bell's dead. Sam Darnold's gonna die within the next 5 weeks. Their best receiver is Jamison Crowder, who's 30 years old, and even he's
Is Jamison Crowder actually 30 years old?
Fuck this.
He's 31, but what the fuck? Why do you have Adam Gase still here? He's been proven to ruin teams. He ruined the Dolphins. He didn't play them to their potential at all. Adam Flores, no. What's his name? Brian Flores took over the next year and actually led them to a decent record with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So it can't be the talent. It's Adam Gase being a moron.
So here's why Here's why Adam Gase is still in New York, because the Jets somehow managed to win 7 games last year, even though Sam Darnold fucked around and got mono and was out for a month and a half.
Sam Darnold lost his virginity and then he was out for 6 weeks.
I quit. I tapped out. This has been season 2, episode 4.
That'll be a clip. Someone's got to clip that.
Yeah, someone clip that.
Someone listening clip that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Adam Gase is a fool. I mean,
I think very high up there is Matt Patricia. I do not like him as a head coach at all. I think he is absolute dog shit. He cannot develop his own players.
I feel bad for saying this too, but Detroit's not doing Matt Patricia any favors. He has put on some pounds. He's just not winning at all.
Can't have shit.
I don't know. I just don't think he can develop his own players because he had to steal half of our defensive lineup between him and Brian Flores. But Brian Flores is a little different because he actually has led a team to a decent record. But Matt Patricia, you're gonna come crawling back to us, and we don't want your sorry ass.
Also, Matthew Stafford hasn't looked as good as we thought he would.
He hasn't. I
don't think that's much. I don't think that's. I mean, a little bit is the fault of the system he's in, but a lot of it is on him. To be fair,
I feel like he might be hurt or something. Maybe.
He always is.
Stafford hurt now.
You could say he doesn't have Kenny Golladay, but at the same time,
so their
quarterbacks who have less who are doing better. So
yeah.
Yeah, there's something up with him. Maybe he's just sick of being in Detroit. Maybe he'll retire like Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson.
Well, why don't we stay on this topic? We'll go with the Lions and the Cardinals next.
God.
I mean, you guys were already talking about Stafford and how he hasn't looked great, and Pat throwing out, maybe he's injured. But the Cardinals, on the other hand, have looked outstanding, and Kyler Murray now looks like a top quarterback in the league. And an
MVP candidate.
So, yeah, and that offense, like people were saying before with Drake and Hopkins and, those two should really be all you need. But they've still got, Kirk and Fitzgerald and Chase Edmonds even is able to give you, what'd you say?
I said nuke.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is I don't really have much to say on this. I'm just going to pick the Cardinals because they're just the better team and there's like nothing else to say about it.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Cardinals as well. I picked Kyler Murray in fantasy this year, and I'm very happy with it.
I did too. Let's go.
He's just like, he's everything that, okay, hang on, let me restart.
He's everything
like
that
Lamar Jackson, but like, he's different, he's just like those new quarterbacks nowadays who are dual threat and everything, but he's very fast. He's not like the same as Lamar Jackson. I feel like he doesn't like seek out the run kind of. He doesn't like seek to run the ball. But when he does, it's explosive. It's great. And Detroit is not going to be able to compete at all. Detroit's just sad. Even if they get Kenny Golladay back this week, which I'm pretty sure they won't, they wouldn't be able to compete with Arizona offensively. And obviously Detroit's defense is not good. Actually, I think they're the worst in the league right now. So, yeah, Arizona's going to blow them out. Hopefully Kyler Murray's going to put up some good fantasy numbers. They need to win this week.
Matthew Stafford, Matthew McConaughey, Matthew Perry, don't matter. Cardinals by 25.
That was good. How long did you
Good way
play
to
in
sum
that?
it up.
I just thought of that. I'm like, who are some famous Matthews?
Off the dome. Okay, respect.
Forgot Matthew Berry.
I've got a hot take.
Uh-oh.
Kyler Murray is better than the open field than Lamar Jackson.
That's a hot take.
Is it though?
I mean,
actually,
I
yeah,
don't know if it's
you're right. Never mind.
I don't know if it's a. If
I
it's
kind
like
of forgot
take.
who
I don't know if
Lamar
anybody's
was.
gonna get mad at you. If you
Maybe
say that, but
decision making.
I don't know how you can really prove it.
Okay, so Lamar Jackson is like the guy who just abuses the skill stick in Madden and like just can make any juke move you want. But Kyler Murray is so quick and so hard to read where he's gonna go, and he can just outrun anybody and just pure speed. But one thing I have to actually say negatively about the Cardinals is that Isaiah Simmons has not been the monster that I thought he would be this season. That many people thought he would be. I thought
a lot of playing time. I know he's gotten like all right, but I wonder what the reason for that is.
I'm not really sure, but I picked him to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, and it's not looking like that pick is trending to be accurate. So I'm interested in that, but otherwise, I don't see much negatives about Arizona other than the fact that they haven't really played. I mean, I kind of figured that they would beat San Francisco just because I thought that Kyler Murray would start off strong. They have a lot to prove, DeAndre Hopkins, all that kind of stuff. But they haven't. Washington obviously is not a super strong team. Detroit does not really follow that pattern. I said it last week. Their schedule gets a lot tougher towards the end of the season, so we'll see if he can keep it up against some much tougher competition. But Detroit shouldn't give him any problems this week. I got the Cardinals as well.
All right, so we've got now, like I said, we moved into the 4 o'clocks. Carolina and the Chargers.
Tyrod
Do we have an
Taylor.
update on Tyrod Taylor? Do we have an update
Herbert's
on him?
starting. Herbert's starting.
The NFL
no shit.
just launched an investigation into that.
Oh,
Wow.
you're saying? Oh, yeah. Well, they had Tyrod Taylor like after the game. Who's their head coach?
Anthony Lynn.
Yeah, Lynn was like, if Tyrod's healthy, he's our starter, which I think is ridiculous. After Herbert just diced up the Chiefs.
It makes me so mad how teams do that. I'm like, why do you you don't gain anything from starting Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah.
Herbert the Hitman.
Yeah, so I mean, Herbert, like we just said, looked great against the Chiefs. Carolina just lost McCaffrey for probably a month or so, and they, even with McCaffrey, don't look that good. So to me, I think it's got to be the Chargers here. And they've officially Tyler Taylor's out. Herbert's going to start again. It'll be cool to watch him. And he's got. It's almost like he has the perfect offense of what you want for a rookie quarterback to have. He's got the go-to receiver, and he's got the 2 running backs that you can throw out of the backfield. Eckler's a great pass catcher, and Kelly's a great pass catcher. So it's almost like it's built exactly how you want it for a rookie quarterback. And their defense is still like very good. I mean, it's not like at the top tier. I think they're at least a tier below like the Ravens and everything, but they're still a very good defense. And against Carolina, against Bridgewater, and no Christian McCaffrey, it's a recipe for disaster for Carolina. I'm saying the Chargers are going to blow them out, honestly.
Yeah, I really just don't believe in Carolina. A big thing for me with them is Teddy Bridgewater. Like, I love Teddy Bridgewater. I loved him in Minnesota. But he's just like, he's not the guy who can go win you a game.
Yeah, I agree.
Like last season with the Saints.
It's the Saints.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's the Saints. Like, I could probably win one of those 6 games behind that. With that team.
Phillip Rivers could have won one of those 6 games.
So, like, as much as I love Teddy Bridgewater, he's an amazing person. He does so much for the community and everything.
Yeah.
He's not going to go out and win you football games. He's not a franchise quarterback. He's a high-tier backup or a very low-end starter on a bad team, like we're seeing this year. And on the other hand,
hot take from Pat.
maybe. On the other hand, though, I think the Chargers are a team. They're very talented, and if they didn't have Phillip Rivers last year, if they actually had a competent quarterback, they could have probably been contenders. If they had a guy like
the Rivers hate.
If they had a guy like Matthew Stafford or something last year, they probably could have been like contenders or something like that. Even made the playoffs.
If they had Teddy Bridgewater last year, they could have been contenders.
Yeah. If they had anybody but Phillip Rivers.
Exactly.
But I love Justin Herbert. I've ever since the draft, I've been thinking he could easily be the best quarterback in this class. I think he just has that kind of potential.
Wow.
But really, what he has to do this week, there's no real pressure on him this week. All he has to do is not lose the game, because the Panthers are going to lose it for themselves. Like,
no pressure, just don't lose.
No, I say that in the sense of, like, he probably won't have to go out and win the game. He just doesn't have to throw the game away.
Yeah.
As long as the loss isn't on him, he's fine.
Yeah.
Right. And he looked good enough against the Chiefs last week, which I'd say the Chiefs are better than the Panthers. I'd say it's pretty close, maybe. Yeah, I think the Chargers. It should be a lock. I'm gonna do that as my lock of the week.
Man, I was gonna do the same thing, bro.
Well, against
the
no
Chargers,
hometown team.
Obviously, prayers go out to Tyrod Taylor. Like, what the hell? Like, I saw the meme, and it was just probably one of my favorite NFL memes. Oh, this was the with Stone Cold, and Vince McMahon, and you guys know I'm a big wrestling guy, so I got a little bit of a kick out of that. And Pat said before that he would have won one of those 6 games with the Saints. I think he would have won one of those games alone just because he's 6'5". Fun fact to the people at home, Pat's 6'5".
I am.
But I think that alone gives him the advantage. He can see over the offensive line, unlike me.
You know who else is 6'5"? Cam Newton.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
True.
Shout out Cam Newton. I love Cam
That
Newton.
medical staffer for the Chargers is definitely a big Herbert guy. He did that on purpose.
That's why I said Herbert.
He's got Herbert on his fantasy team.
Yeah.
No, but like the Chargers really do have the talent. They got a defense led by Joey Bosa. I still think their defense is elite all around. I wouldn't say it's top tier, but it's up there. It's above average.
Tier 2.
I would give it tier 2.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. But this offense is still loaded. I forget what their running back's name is.
Eckler and Kelly.
The rookie. Eckler and Kelly, you're right.
Kelly's
Thank
second
you.
year, I think. Maybe third.
I might be confusing other players. I'm still learning all these rookies' names, like as I watch them and as they perform week by week. Still got Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, still a good weapon, and Justin Herbert. I think it's really tough right now to tell out of him and Joe Burrow who's going to be the best quarterback in this draft class. It can be really tough. They could be the next 2 faces of the NFL. Say in 5 to 10 years from now, it's the Bengals and the Chargers every year in the AFC Championship. Those 2 going at it. I'm just saying.
That just doesn't sound right.
I'm just saying, like, it didn't sound right when that was an actual playoff matchup like 8 years ago. Like, that actually happened, and it didn't feel right.
No, but like I'm saying, Like that's how big these two could get.
Yeah.
You know, you catch my drift. But
Yeah, I get you.
yeah, Carolina's just not there right now. I mean, it's evident. McCaffrey gone. That's their offense right there. And even with him, they still couldn't produce. So I say Los Angeles by at least 17.
Damn.
17.
Yeah,
Damn.
I can't. I can't argue. I think the Chargers will take it pretty handily. People thought I was crazy for saying the Panthers were going to go 2-14 this season, and now it looks pretty accurate. So
Yeah.
I should have listened to me all along. But Chargers, see, okay, so the AFC West, you know how people say that the NFC South is like quarterback central, like with Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, and the NFC North is wide receiver central. They got Devontae Adams, Adam Thielen, Allen Robinson, Kenny Galladay. Yeah. The AFC West is that, but for tight ends. They've got Hunter Henry, Noah Fant, Travis Kelce, and Darren Waller, who are all top 10 in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I think that Hunter Henry can absolutely go insane against the Panthers this week. I think he's going to be a big piece in that offense. And I think that the Chargers are going to be able to beat up on the Panthers pretty badly. So I don't think there's much debate there. I think it's going to be a shit show.
What is the AFC East?
Cornerback central. Yep. Xavier
cornerback.
Howard, Stephon Gilmore, Tre'Davious White, and then the Jets.
Whoever the fuck's on the Jets.
And the Jets.
Buster Scruggs.
Darrell Revis? I don't know.
So you could literally just have Gilmore and Trey White, and you could be like, they're
that's it.
central.
That's all you gotta have.
That's all you need, really. Yeah, I mean, I think the last thing I'll say on the Chargers
Howard
is
helps.
like that. Yeah, Howard does help.
Isn't Byron Jones on the Dolphins now too?
That is true.
Yeah, that can make up for the Jets. They have Howard and Byron Jones.
Oh yeah, we're definitely.
We have
cornerback
J.C.
central.
And
Jackson
J.C. Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Jason
We're
McCourty.
definitely
Josh
quarterback
Norman.
central.
Shut up.
Yeah,
Shut
all right.
Man thought we weren't going to notice he
It
slipped
was
Josh
like, you tried
Norman
to
in
sneak
there.
in Norman in there like we wouldn't notice. Yeah, I think the Chargers, like the Chargers are an interesting team in the sense that they have like you guys said, if they had a decent quarterback last year and not Phillip Rivers, they definitely could have done some damage, and maybe Herbert is that guy if they can keep this roster together for a couple of years. But we'll move on to the next 4:00 game here. We got the Jets and the
quick.
Colts. Yeah,
We
go ahead.
just need to put that. This kind of stays with the topic of the Colts. We just need to put that in the intro every week. Welcome to season 2, episode 5 of the New Guys podcast, where everybody here fucking hates Phillip Rivers.
I don't hate him like.
Oh, I don't either. He's just garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
he's just not a very good player. But yeah, the Jets and the Colts. I'm gonna make this my lock of the week. I'm just gonna go with the Colts, just because the Jets are an absolute mess. Adam Gase still being there, like we just discussed a couple minutes ago. Jamison Crowder, who is really one of their main weapons on offense for Darnold, is probably going to be out again this week. Their backfield's a mess without Le'Veon Bell. The defense is atrocious. I mean, they're a sorry excuse for an NFL team. And even though I'm not a huge fan of Phillip Rivers, there's no debate that offense is still better than the Jets. So I'm going to pick Indy and make it my lock.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with you, Jordan. Literally, Phillip Rivers doesn't have to throw the ball one time and they could win by like 20 points just because Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines can just do their thing.
They can have someone else throw the ball.
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett. They
like
can have
that guy
Jacoby
walking down the
Brissett.
street.
Yeah.
Matt has wet dreams about Taylor and Hines every night. Like, I swear.
Literally do.
This man rides the.
Jonathan Taylor, that man. Oh, man. Jonathan Taylor, though, like.
Hey, yo.
Right. All I'm saying is, like,
Glizzy Pat.
the
Glizzy Pat.
Hey, I have my fantasy team, all right? And I have Nyheim Hines on the other one. But the Jets just suck. And the Colts, not so much the Colts, but Phillip Rivers tends to play down to competition. But like I said, if he doesn't throw the ball like 30 times, which he really has no need to, the Colts are going to win just by running the ball, just by virtue of their great offensive line and, like, not great running back corps anymore because Marlon Mack went down, but good running back corps. So, yeah, the Colts are going to win. I'd put it down as another lock of the week if I had one. But, yeah. Book it. Whenever you're ready.
It's my fault. Yeah, it's my fault. I was just checking the group chat. Yeah, there really isn't all that much I want to say about this this game. I think we touched on all the points about how the Jets are a shit show before we even got to this matchup with the whole Adam Gase situation. The Colts really don't impress me all that much either with Phillip Rivers, but they're gonna win this game. It's the Jets.
Yeah, I agree. It's the freaking Jets. Like, I don't care if you're Phillip Rivers, if you're Phillip Lindsay, you could put anybody back there at quarterback and they'd be able to beat the Jets. So, Indianapolis by a lot.
It's interesting because I think we actually said before, like, the NFL started that we were like at least a couple of us were like, oh, the Jets could do some, like, they're not gonna like win the division or anything, but they could like do a little bit of damage and finish at 500 or something. And now we're all just like, it's the Jets. They're not going to win a game.
Okay, so fun fact, when I was writing my prediction series, I actually picked the Jets to win this game initially. And then that's because I had a lot of faith in Le'Veon Bell having a bounce-back season, and that's gone. That just goes to show how bad I thought Phillip Rivers was going to be going in. And, the Jets are just awful.
I mean, Bell like flips that for me too. Like you said, if Bell's in this game, it may have me pick the Jets. He's that much of a game changer at least. But the thing is, with Gase there, Gase ruined Kenyon Drake for years in Miami, and then Drake gets sent to Arizona and he becomes the star. He's doing the same thing with Le'Veon Bell. And now obviously Bell's injured, but even when he was here, he was getting 10 carries a game. It's like, what are you doing? All right, final 4 o'clock games. Two of probably the highlights of the 4 o'clocks.
Hell yeah.
So we'll go with the lesser of the two first. We'll go with Tampa and Denver. I wouldn't even say this is a highlight, but it's Tom Brady, so he definitely is going to bring some viewers in.
5 years ago, this would have been elite Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning.
True.
No, 5 years ago, this would have been Jameis Winston versus Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Shut up.
I mean, even 2 weeks ago, this is a good matchup.
Oh yeah.
But now,
Blake Bortles, baby. Blake Bortles.
Whoever may start in Denver is not going to be able to compete with Tom Brady. And
hey, whoa! You're talking about AFC Championship game, Blake Bortles. Okay, watch your tone.
And Tom Brady in Denver.
Yeah, exactly.
True. Didn't think about that. Yeah, it really is going to influence my decision. Bucks by 20. That's all I got. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. Just because, like,
Blake Bortles, Blake Griffin, Blake Lively don't matter. Bucks by 20.
Someone please pick Denver.
I am actually going to go against the grain here, and I'm going to pick. Just kidding. I'm picking the Buccaneers. I feel really bad for Denver because I think they would have been like a good team if Von Miller didn't get hurt and Cortland Sutton didn't get hurt and Drew Lock didn't get hurt and Phillip Lindsay didn't get hurt. If their whole team wasn't in the freaking hospital, maybe they'd be okay. But now Vic Fangio's on the hot seat because he's working with a friggin'.
Is he really on the hot seat though?
I think so.
I don't think so. Nah.
I think he could.
They
need to win a game. I mean, maybe not after this week because the Buccaneers should definitely beat them. Another thing I want to say about the Buccaneers is that I think they might be better off as a primarily run-focused team, like with Leonard Fournette leading the charge, and then when they have to have Tom Brady pass the ball and
they don't have a good elite QB or anything, right?
Yeah, they don't have anything like that. No, okay, I should rephrase. Not like obviously you want Tom Brady throwing the ball more than you want Leonard Fournette rushing, and as Graham is actually gone and his mic's muted, but I think they should run.
He went as far as using his mic. Jeez.
Somebody banged on my door and I had to make sure I wasn't tripping.
Oh, okay. I thought you left because
I thought you walked out on his take.
No, I just think the Buccaneers need a better balance, maybe like a 50-50 kind of with throwing and rushing, because Tom Brady hasn't looked great this year, and I think if you force teams to respect the run more, that allows him to do more damage to the passing game. I think he'll benefit from that, like elite running game that he never had in New England. So, long story short, I'm picking the Buccaneers. But yeah.
Yeah, I really agree with Pat on that point. You really got to balance the run, because if you're passing every time with Brady, they're gonna double up. I mean, they're gonna double up Mike Evans anyway. But when they start focusing on the run, it's gonna leave Mike Evans open deep down the field eventually. And Denver is a team that I kind of feel bad for just because they had a loaded roster and half of them went down. But at the same time, fuck Denver. They've broken my heart many times. I don't care that half of their. I mean, I care that half their roster's down. I'm not an evil person. Like, I hope they all have a speedy recovery. But at the same time, it's the Broncos, and it's like, all right, whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like just an evil human being, but at the same time, fuck the Denver Broncos.
Man,
So, yeah, Tom Brady. I think he's gonna have his best game of the year so far in this game, and I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will win this one convincingly.
yeah, I agree. There's not really much to say. It's Tom Brady. Like, what are you gonna do? So,
Yeah.
Tampa Bay. I'll make it my lock of the week. Actually, you know what? I'll wait. I got one
All
more
right.
that I want to make my lock of the week.
I still
I got one
think
more.
upset of the week. I don't know if-
I think yes.
So here's what I believe is the game of the week by
On Fox.
standards.
Yep.
The last
Any
1
Dallas
o'clock
game is the game of the week.
True.
Dallas versus the football team. Game of the week.
Yeah, that might be the game of the week, but this is definitely the game of the week, even
Oh yeah.
on any network, in my opinion. Dallas and actually, that's a
Actually,
question.
I don't know about game of the week, but it's definitely close.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's-
yeah,
it's-
no.
We're
it's one
so
or two.
spoiled this week. This is such
Yeah.
a good slate of matchups. For
They
me.
should have spread it out.
Yeah.
They really. I feel like if we put the Monday night
Right.
matchup, which we'll get into last week, because I feel like last week was really lackluster. Besides
Mm.
the Patriots and Seahawks game on Sunday night, none of the matchups really popped out to me. Yeah, they ended up being good games, but I really wasn't excited for any of them. But this matchup that I'm definitely
This game
excited for.
should be the primetime game this Sunday, not Packers and Saints, which we'll get into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Seattle was
Yeah,
just in
so-
prime time. I don't think.
You can't
Yeah.
have 2 Sunday night games in a row.
Yeah, it's true.
True.
Jordan.
So yeah, we kind of spoiled it a bit. We got Dallas and Seattle. The last 3 games we haven't done yet are definitely the 3 ones to watch, other than the Pats game. Which is actually good because you've got 4 o'clock. You got the Sunday night and then the Monday night are all like great
And I
games to
have
watch.
to work until 5:30.
On Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you
I
only
gotta work
miss.
till 5,
It's a
that's
4:30 start.
Only miss my favorite team.
You only shut up. Oh, you yeah, you have to work. I got you. Okay. Yeah, you'll miss the Pats.
I thought you were talking
I thought-
sarcastically about the Cowboys.
I thought you were talking about
No, no,
Dallas.
no,
I was like,
no.
okay.
I'll
I
actually
guess-
miss the entire Patriots game. I'm really upset about it, but whatever.
Yeah. All right. So back to this game, Dallas, Seattle. Both teams coming off of very close victories. One kind of opposite sides of the spectrum though, where Dallas had to come back. Dak Prescott had to go nuclear and just dominate and go MVP mode. I think who do you have for MVP, Graham? You still got Dak? I had Dak.
I still got Russ. I never had Dak.
Okay.
I got Russ.
Okay.
Dak is a close second in my opinion.
Yeah, so Dak goes MVP mode, comes back. Seattle, on the other hand, Russ does his thing and dominates like crazy, but their defense looks susceptible with Cam Newton dicing them up. They have to make a stop right at the end, and they just barely squeak out a victory against the Patriots. So, although both teams are coming off of wins, both of them really shouldn't be overly confident, in my opinion. Dallas looked horrible in the beginning of that game against the Falcons. Were able to recover. Seattle's defense looked very questionable the entire game. So I think there's 2 aspects of the teams that you'll have to look for. And I think I'm going to go with Dallas again. I picked them last week. Their offense, to me, still is the best in the league, and I'm sure Graham agrees with me there. In terms of talent and just in terms of what they did last week, showed me that they can not only come back versus a pretty good Atlanta team, but Dak Prescott can lead the way in that comeback and dominate as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So, mixed with their receiving core, with Zeke in the backfield, I think that they're able to steal from Seattle. And Seattle's injuries in the secondary, I don't know how they're going to look next week. I know Bruce Irvin, I believe, tore his ACL. That's a big loss for them. And Jamal Adams, like we mentioned earlier, really didn't look that good against, at least in coverage.
That's not what the media will have you believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though Edelman literally made him like Anthony said, Edelman is now Jamal Adams' dad.
And you got to think, I mean, that secondary of the one thing that the Seahawks have is their run defense is fantastic. As they showed, it's not hard to slow down Michelle, but they have a great run defense. But their secondary is weak, and especially just not even just with the injuries. Jamal Adams didn't look too good, and now you've got Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper coming at you from all different directions with Dak Prescott throwing to them. So I'm going to go with Dallas, but it's going to be a great game, and it could very well mimic the Atlanta game from last week with Dallas, not in the sense that, in the shootout sense of that there's going to be a lot of scores. You're taking like an over maybe even 60 in this game for the total, but I'm going to go Dallas to beat them narrowly.
Yeah, I agree. This is definitely not only maybe not game of the week. It's pretty
Game
close. If not, it's the second one. But it's going to be an absolute shootout. These are two of the premier offenses in the league. I don't see Dallas's secondary being able to slow down Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But I also don't see Seattle's secondary being able to slow down Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, blah, 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 blah. So it's going to be really interesting. I think if Dallas can compete and even come close to winning this game, excuse me, allergies are killing me. I think that will solidify them as a top team in this league, probably top 10.
Wait. Top
Probably
10.
top 10.
Top 10.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Cowboys at all.
Uh-oh.
That's tough. I can see you saying maybe top 5 or 6, but I feel like they're guaranteed top 10.
I mean, just off of talent, I guess they have to be top 10. But I mean, in terms of like
right now,
that'll elevate them to.
Oh, they're 1-1, so you take the Bears over them. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Power rankings wise, they aren't top 10. Okay, I got you. That's fair.
No, I mean, if Dallas can win this game or even come close to winning, that'll solidify them as a contender for me. I'm not really sold on them as contenders just yet. But Seattle also has to come out and win this game because a 3-0 start for them is huge in terms of their division. They have the Rams and Cardinals kind of right on their ass. And they want to get that first seed and get that bye. So Russell Wilson's going to have to come out and perform again and continue his MVP campaign. I'm going to go with I really want to go with Dallas, to be honest. But if you go with
Dallas, you're going to have 3 on Dallas at least, because I already know Graham who he's picking.
I'm going to go with Seattle. I think it's going to be a really close one, but Seattle, I feel like, tends to pull out those close games outside of Super Bowl 49.
That is the most ironic statement you could ever make.
Yeah, but does Dallas ever pull out close games? Really, not.
No, it's true.
Really. So
they did last.
They just won by 1 point last
so
week.
Did Seattle though.
Yeah, but then they also lost the week before in a really close game. So
that's the ref's fault. We've been over it.
Oh no.
Whatever. I'm going with Seattle, but it's going to be a really close one. It's going to be a great game.
I don't know if I sent it to you guys yet, but I'm going to plug myself a little bit. I just wrote an article for my school newspaper on why Russell Wilson will win MVP. It's just really tough. He's really balling out right now. 5 touchdowns against the New England secondary, who is perhaps the best secondary in football. I don't have a lot of confidence in Dallas's secondary going into this game. But at the same time, I don't have a lot of confidence in Seattle's defense to slow down Dak Prescott. So I think this game is going to be a matter of who possesses the ball last. Because I remember very vividly the day of Super Bowl 51, and my uncle came over and he said, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh, who do you think's going to win?" He goes, "I don't know who's going to win, but it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last." And New England had the ball last and they won. So I think it's going to be that situation that I think whoever gets the ball last is going to win the game. But I obviously have to pick one team, and I'm going to agree with Pat. I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to pull this one out.
I agree. I got Seattle this
I'm
week.
coming for your ass, Jordan. I'm coming for that.
That was a shock to many.
Hey, yo.
I am the only Dallas picker this week. Wow. That's surprising.
I thought I was going to lone wolf. Lone wolf Seattle this week.
Nah, I'm incredibly high on Dallas, as we all know, but I'm also stupid high on the Seahawks. I think that both of these teams are top tier. This is actually my NFC Championship game matchup that I predicted going into the season. So honestly, okay, the NFC Championship game is going to be between Seattle and whoever wins the divisional round between New Orleans and Dallas, and it's not even a contest.
No one's making the playoffs? What? This is when?
Oh my God! I can't wait. I'm gonna clip. I can't wait when they win the Super Bowl.
Who?
Saints.
Who?
I
New
told
Orleans
you.
is winning the Super Bowl.
Listen, Dallas and New Orleans are very even. It's a toss-up for who wins it. I just think that Dallas has
No,
the edge.
you're fine. You're fine. The kid to your right on my screen is the kid who just
Oh,
shits
oh.
on Drew Brees.
My bad. Anyways, Drew Brees, number 2 quarterback of all time. And the conversation that we've already had in another one for another day. But
You guys
Seattle-
smell
Rather
that?
than
Wait.
say that, I just got
Do
mad.
you guys smell that?
shut up.
It smells like cap right now.
Anyways,
Oh, man.
the Seahawks, Russell Wilson, they put up a stat on Sunday Night Football this past week. He's the best deep ball thrower in the NFL, and it's not close.
Probably in NFL history, to be honest.
Probably, yeah. And this is something that the Seahawks are definitely going to be able to take advantage of against the Cowboys if they were able to take advantage of it against us. So as the Patriots, and so I have very, very little faith in the Cowboys cornerbacks this week in particular, just because they're going up against Russell Wilson, who I have winning the MVP. So Seattle.
And you mentioned the deep ball from Russ. A lot of people were critiquing Gilmore for falling behind Metcalf on that.
Dude, it's
whatever,
DK
6-yard pass.
Metcalf. Like, what are you
and
gonna
also,
do?
DK Metcalf.
It was just a perfect throw. I mean, I think it was more of a perfect throw than it was like a bad. Like,
Hey, the thing is,
slip
like,
up
It
on
wasn't bad coverage.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, Metcalf, like,
He did everything
yeah,
right.
that's like a hell of a play by Metcalf, but Russell Wilson threw that ball so perfectly that Gilmore couldn't have got that if he tried. Like,
Yeah.
He did.
even if he played perfect coverage. So, yeah, that's a testament to Wilson.
Mm-hmm. All right, move on to the Sunday night game. Like we said, another one of the games to watch this week. We've got the Packers and the Saints. I know how Pat feels about the Saints. You definitely can't say anything but disappointment for them so far. At least
They're 1-1.
They did have a great
But they
victory
didn't
against the
look good.
Buccaneers, but to lose against the Raiders, I think it's a huge disappointment, especially considering the Raiders' defense is so poor.
Yeah,
and
I want
Drew
to say
Brees
something
is-
before you go, Jordan. I want to say that for the Saints, I think once they get in the groove, they'll be fine. But it's just so far they haven't showed me that they're very serious among like the early contenders of the season. I have faith in their roster. You know, it's just whether or not Drew Brees can put it together. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, I mean, you said it. You said it well. They have the talent. They're not going to have Michael Thomas again, obviously, but they've still got enough talent on that offense, I think, to be able to beat like decent teams. They got Jared Cook. They have, like Graham said, use Alvin Kamara to your advantage, and then Emmanuel Sanders was pretty much non-existent last week, but he could definitely give you some catches. And then on the other hand, you have the Packers, who have totaled like somewhere near 90 points in the first 2 games. Rodgers has looked outstanding in week 1, looked very good in week 2, but not to where he was.
Aaron Jones carried last week.
Yeah.
45 fantasy points, dude. Ooh.
And that's the thing that's
So
scary for the Packers. A lot of people, I can see the Packers as a dark horse for the Super Bowl, honestly.
Imagine
because-
getting destroyed by 2 dudes named Aaron.
A-Rod.
Like, come on.
They had the 2-headed Aarons.
Aaron.
But I think the Packers are like a dark horse for the Super Bowl. I think Rodgers is kind of like a fuck you year for him after drafting Jordan Love. And he's shown now that he still has it in him. And for them to have, we're talking about 2-headed monster. How about the 3-headed monster to throw Adams in there as well? So I'm actually going
Adams
to. He's questionable for this week at least. I mean, he went off week 1 though.
Yeah, you got hurt last week.
This is a tough game for me because on one hand, I love the Packers as a dark horse, but I also have the Saints winning the Super Bowl. So if I pick the Saints to lose 1 and 2 to start the year,
I picked the Cowboys to lose this week. That would put them at 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna go with the Packers. I think Rodgers is gonna dice up that Saints defense, and the Saints without Michael Thomas looked horrible last week. And I'm one to hate on Michael Thomas a bit because I think he's not as talented as some of the other receivers in the league, but he's so important to that New Orleans offense, and that was evident last week, and I think it's going to be evident again this week.
I agree with Jordan. No surprise here. I'm going with the Packers, but I think the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, like you said, he's having a fuck you year. Basically, like, I still have this. This is still my team.
Yep.
I'm still a top quarterback in the league. They have an absolute juggernaut of an offense right now. Their defense, I think, is kind of like mid tier.
Yeah, like it always is.
But again, they don't have the Saints, don't have Michael Thomas, so Jair Alexander's going to lock down probably Emmanuel Sanders, whoever the hell he'll call the Saints' number one receiver right now.
Alvin Kamara.
Yeah,
Yeah, really.
Yeah. And
Taysom Hill.
Alvin Kamara can't do it all by himself. So, as much as the Saints are like a very talented team, I think the Packers have an inherent advantage in this matchup. I think they're just going to take advantage of it. I think they're going to put up some numbers, and the Saints are going to be able to match up blow for blow.
Mhm.
I really think the matchup, like on paper, goes neck and neck. You got Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees going at it at quarterback, who are 2 top 10 quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can argue
5.
Rodgers, but I think he's up there.
Yeah,
And
no,
then you
that's
got
fair.
the running,
top
running
5.
backs, Alvin Kamara, and Aaron Jones, who were 2 of the top tier guys at that position.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to wide receiver, it's tricky because you have a Michael Thomas-less Saints team, and then you have a maybe Devontae Adams-less Packers
That's
team.
true.
True.
And when you compare their lineups, you got Emmanuel Sanders, you got Traquan Smith, who I believe is extremely underrated. I think he could absolutely ball out this Sunday. And then you got guys on the Packers. You got Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You got, I'm trying to remember. I think they got Devin Funchess now.
Anthony Lazard.
Him as well. It's a matter. I think this game is going to come down to if Devontae Adams doesn't play, which receiving core is going to step up without their lead guy. And for some reason, I just think the Packers are going to, because I believe they have a better defense than the Saints do. And I don't think Drew Brees is going to be able to manage as well. I think Rodgers is going to be able to hit those targets because right behind Russell Wilson, I think Aaron Rodgers is right up there for MVP. Like Graham, like Jordan said, he's kind of having a fuck you year for drafting Jordan Love, and I think he's just going to absolutely go apeshit. So it's going to be tough between him and Wilson. I still think Wilson's going to win MVP, but the Packers will pull this one out. I say Rodgers throws for 4 touchdowns.
Damn.
Break out the rooms, baby. Break out the brooms. Packers. I'll make it my upset of the week because they're plus 3.5.
Is it even an upset?
Yep.
Yeah.
Really?
That's
Oh, okay.
wild.
That's my upset of the
wild.
week.
I didn't even pick an upset this week.
Why?
Because they're on the
Why is
road.
that-
I'm about to put some
Because
money
I
on
didn't
that.
Yeah.
I didn't even
In the
pick an
dome.
upset this week.
But
Does Minnesota over Tennessee count as an upset?
let me check the spread real quick.
Probably. It should.
It should. Yeah, they're on 2.
Minnesota is plus 2.5 home dogs.
So barely
Yeah.
underdogs.
So yeah,
So-
it counts. Upset of the week. Vikings over the Titans.
All right. Anyway, yeah, Packers. There's not much to say. Y'all covered pretty much everything. Just one thing I will say is that, like Anthony said, I trust in. This might be because we've already seen the Saints without Michael Thomas, but I trust in the Packers' ability more than I trust their wide receivers' ability to step up in the absence of Devontae Adams. I trust Aaron Rodgers to be able to do more with those supporting cast wide receivers than I trust Drew Brees to be able to do without Michael Thomas.
Yep.
That's fair. I don't recall the Saints ever playing on Sunday night. Like they don't ever play on Sunday night.
They always play on Monday night, I feel like.
They're always the Monday night. I've never seen this matchup.
They
on Sunday
play
night, definitely.
They play the prime time on Thanksgiving every year. I know that they always play on.
True.
Not
ABC
every
on
year. It's just
Thanksgiving.
not every year. It's just been 2 years in a row, which is kind of weird.
Yeah,
It's weird.
I remember
No.
they played the Falcons one year.
yeah. It'll be interesting. This is definitely a game to watch. It's a good Sunday night game. Back-to-back great Sunday night games, which is what you want to see.
Yeah.
All right. To finish it off, the other game of the week. I honestly say this one's probably superior to
This is like
the
the
Dallas
heavyweight. It's like the
Seahawks game.
heavyweight matchup. Like,
yeah.
like
You could
couple of-
argue the I mean, I think the Seahawks are a better team than the Chiefs, but you could argue that maybe the 2 best teams in the league are facing off against each other here.
definitely 2 best in the AFC.
Yeah, without a doubt. And this one can either
You
I think
got a
honestly
potential.
go ahead.
You got a potential AFC championship matchup and a
The
potential
AFC
NFC
championship match.
Easy.
I stand corrected. The AFC championship
I know the
matchup
Pats played on
versus
Monday.
versus
What's
a
that?
potential NFC championship.
What'd you say, Jordan?
I said I didn't know the Pats played on Monday. You said potential AFC championship matchup. No, but back to the game. 2 elite offenses. a much better defense on one end of the floor on the Ravens, but on one hand, though, the Ravens looked very good last week, like they should, but the Chiefs looked pretty bad, honestly. And if it weren't for Butker, they might not win that game. And then they lose to a Justin Herbert, who 5 seconds before the kickoff was told he was going into play in his first NFL game. So there's definitely a lot of doubt starting in the KC here, but I'm going to go ahead and pick the Chiefs because I don't see Mahomes having 2 bad games in a row. And not to mention, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire showed week 1 that he's such a dynamic player, and that even after a pretty low and sorry week 2, I think he's going to bounce back. I really like to be completely honest, I like the backfield of the Chiefs more than I like the backfield of the Ravens at this point. The cluster of Ingram, Dobbins, and Edwards right now doesn't give me any sort of confidence. I like a clear number 1 with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then a solid number 2 in Darrell Williams. And I honestly like the weapons that, without a doubt, like the weapons that Mahomes has with Kelsey and Hill, and then they're great, 1 and 2s and Hardman. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think they bounce back and they beat the Ravens here.
It's definitely like a prime time matchup. Like, it's a great matchup. I think right now the Ravens are the best team in football. Defensively and offensively, they just haven't slowed down whatsoever from their great regular season last year. If anything, they've improved. Another thing I think is notable about the Ravens is that Lamar Jackson really isn't running a whole lot this year. Like, he's having maybe like 7 rushes a game, but last year I feel like he was running a whole lot more. I just think the Chiefs are kind of in a rut right now. I think Sammy Watkins is out this week, right? I think he got concussed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. I have to catch my breath every 5 seconds because of my allergies. But I think Baltimore just had some beat defensively and offensively. I think Baltimore won't slow down. So I think it's really more of a testament to how great Baltimore is and how the Chiefs are kind of. I think they kind of got to find their groove again a little bit. Yeah. So I think the Ravens going to take this one, but it could go either way. I think it's going to be pretty close, but the Ravens should win by, I think, at least score 7 points.
Am I the only one that thinks this could be as good or better than the Chiefs-Rams game we had a few years back on Monday night?
Oh.
Like, I'm getting that.
I'm
getting that. I'm really getting that vibe from this game. And I remember I picked the Rams that year for that game, and the Rams won. So I'm thinking maybe, it's going to be pretty much the same formula. I might as well pick Baltimore. Kansas City's going to lose, which I'm going to pick Baltimore, but that's not my reason. I just think that like Pat said, I think their defense is much more complete than Kansas City's. I still think Kansas City's going to be able to compete and put points up on them, but their run game I don't think is going to work, and they're going to have to really rely on Patrick Mahomes' arm and guys like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to get open. And I definitely think that Baltimore secondary can hang in there. They can shut at least one of them down. I think out of both of them, I think they can shut Travis Kelce down just because Tyreek Hill is just a freak of nature and just because of his speed alone just sets him apart from every cornerback or safety in the league. And I'm not saying that Mahomes is going to have a bad game. Like, I don't think he's going to have a bad game at all. I think he could throw for 4 or 5 touchdowns maybe, because I'm hoping and I'm picturing the shootout that we had a few years back with the Rams and the Chiefs. So I don't think Mahomes is going to have a bad game necessarily, but I think the Ravens defense is going to be a little too much for him, and Lamar Jackson is just going to do his thing. I say the Ravens by a touchdown.
You can make this one my lock of the week.
Oh, wow.
Ravens, baby.
Wow.
Lock of the week. No way in the world is Patrick Mahomes able to perform on the Ravens defense in the same way that Lamar is able to perform on the Chiefs defense. I think that the Ravens defense is worlds better than what the Chiefs have on that side of the ball. Jordan, you're smoking some kind of crack. I don't know what you're saying when you say that the Chiefs backfield is better than what the Ravens have.
It's much better.
you're on something, dude. I don't know what it is.
Lamar Jackson and the Ravens
Those
back.
are the jokes you got from Killer Kev.
Threat.
Dude, I don't know.
I mean, I'm not counting Lamar Jackson in the Ravens backfield for what it's worth.
You should be.
No, I'm saying straight running backs. Who do I like better?
He is a running back.
But he's the quarterback, is what I'm saying. He's not actually the true running
Jokes.
back. I'm saying
I don't think he picked up on it, Graham.
Who's the legit like the backfield
He's
of
still
both
going.
teams? I'm still
Lamar
picking
Jackson.
picking the Chiefs over them.
I'm not trying to sway your opinion. I'm just saying that I think that I trust Lamar's ability to take advantage of the Chiefs more than I trust. It's not even a knock against Patrick Mahomes. I just think the Ravens defense is that good.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
One thing I'll say is that a lot of people didn't think that Tannehill was going to be able to dice that Ravens defense up, but he did his thing.
No, that was Derrick Henry. Don't
Derrick
get it
Henry
mixed.
did
That was Derrick Henry.
Okay, whoever you want to say. I mean, I think Mahomes is just as talented at his position as Derrick Henry is at his. So,
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
It'll be. Go ahead.
Well, I'll let you finish because this is kind of off topics. Go ahead.
I was going to wrap it up and say that this is definitely going to be the game to watch this week. Competing with Dallas and Seattle, definitely. But
Game of the year right here.
bold take.
Because I'm holding it.
Really.
I'm holding it to like the high standards of the Rams Chiefs game that year and how thrilling that was. I'm really hoping for that again. I want to experience that again. And I think this is our best shot this year to experience that with two high level teams. I mean, like if the Jets and the Colts do it, I'm just picking them because they're two pretty bad teams. Exactly. They're two garbage teams. It's not going to be as exciting. It's not going to prove as much, And it's a 4:00 game that not everybody is going to get around the country. And I mean, I'm obviously going to get it because I live in New York, but Kansas City and Baltimore, those are perhaps two of the best teams in football. Definitely the two best teams in the AFC, but you could argue that they're the two best teams in football in that top-heavy AFC. And this is our best chance for an absolute shootout, unless you want to see a defensive game, like a great defensive game. Like if that's what you're into, then by all means. But
I don't keep.
I want to see that high-scoring game between perhaps two of the best quarterbacks in football, two of the best quarterbacks in football, and that's really all I got to say. I'm really holding this game to a high standard.
Yeah. What I was going to say, this can kind of kick off our closing thoughts. Jordan, I want to go back to something you said when we were talking about Packers and Saints. You said that this is kind of a fuck you year, that Rodgers is proving that he still has it in him. The Packers were in the NFC Championship game last year. Like, Rodgers doesn't really have that much to prove.
No, but I think they were like the worst 13-3 team I feel like I've ever seen.
That's fair.
I'm more referring to the drafting of. I'm more referring to the drafting of Jordan Love as like I still have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. And advancing on my second closing thought, I think I speak for all of us when I say, "Go Stars, baby."
Yeah, I'm pulling for the Stars. A lot of people pull for like a lot of Bruins fans are pulling for the Lightning to just be like, yeah, we lost to the Stanley Cup champions, but I just can't root for the Lightning, man. Like
I can see both ways.
Yeah.
I also am very thrilled with this. I'm very thrilled with this Stanley Cup matchup. Honestly, I'm very thrilled with this matchup because it's two teams from non-traditional hockey markets, and a lot of people don't like that, but like fuck them because hockey belongs
opens
everywhere.
the game up a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. All right, that wraps up our predictions there. We kind of jumped into closing thoughts already. I don't have really anything. I mean, the Celtics play tonight, Game 4. When you guys are seeing this, it'll be almost Game 5, honestly. But will they be tied in the series, and it'll be a whole new series? We'll be down 3-1, and we got to pull at Denver Nuggets and come back. So, but yeah, that's all I got. Pat, what do you got? Anything?
I'll tell you what I got. I'm going to perfect 16 for 16 this week. That's what I got.
If any of us ever throughout the season,
if any of us ever do that, like, yeah, we have to have we should have like a protocol in place if any of us ever do that.
Yeah, there should be something that goes on if one of us goes 16 for 16.
No, we gotta say it now.
You want to determine that now?
Yeah,
we gotta say it now.
I don't know what to do.
Go ahead.
That'd be like an off podcast thing.
We could pay whoever goes.
No, we should do it on air. We should do something on air and like something worse off air.
We got to go like
Anthony.
Hey, yo, pause.
What is going on right now?
Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it off air. Don't worry about it. We'll have it for you guys.
On air. So say Graham. This is my proposal. Say Graham goes undefeated in that week. He gets
Never
all the
happened.
games right. Me, Jordan, and Pat each for a minute have to say nice things about Graham.
We'll lose
We
so
have
many
to say
listeners.
nice
I'll
things.
just
We'll lose
leave.
so many listeners.
I'll literally just
We have to-
leave the podcast.
Like we have
No,
to
I'd
say
be
nice
fine
things
if it
about
was
the
just
Hurricanes.
Jordan.
We got to say
Hornets.
nice things about the Hurricanes and the
We have
Hornets.
to talk about the Hornets for 10 minutes if I ever go 16 for 16.
Okay,
I can
that's
do that.
fair. That's fair.
I'll
Well,
talk
each
about how
com-
bad Michael Jordan is.
and
that's fair.
okay, here's my thing. Graham has to praise Russell Westbrook for 2 minutes straight. Just Graham. Everyone else is good. I just want to hear it from Graham. It'll never happen.
All right. I'm
Right,
fine with
if I
that.
go 16 for 16, Jordan has to admit that Giannis is better than AD, and it's not even close. He has to go on for 2 minutes.
All right,
talking
you want me to
about how
lie for
pathetic-
2 minutes? Fine.
Yeah.
Anthony, what's your
Oh,
you-
what's
Anthony
my
has to
wager?
shut up about the fact that he lives in New York for a full episode.
You can't play
All
the New
right,
York
cool.
You play the New York card for a full episode. No, Anthony's has got to be like, I don't know. What's something you got to make Pat do something? Because I'm already
Oh,
doing
we got to.
something.
I'm gonna have Pat watch a week of wrestling, so he's got to watch Raw. He's got to flip back and forth.
And
He's got
review it.
I got to review
He's
it.
got to flip back and forth
I love
between
it.
Dynamite and NXT on Wednesday, and then on Friday he has to watch SmackDown,
I love
and
it.
he's got to give me a full review.
Honestly,
That's
that
so much
should
work.
just be that should just be for all of us. Honestly, if
I
if
like
Anthony
that. It
goes
should be
16,
for all of you.
That should just be
It
all
should
of
be
us.
for all of you.
That. Say less.
Oh man, I
I
can't
think that's the
imagine
best one.
us three doing a review while Anthony sits there and critiques us. That's like a different dimension universe we're in.
That's
Yeah.
2024. Yeah.
See if it ever happens. All right, that's all I got. I don't know if you guys have anything else to close it out.
Straight.
That's all I got, Chief.
Coming up on 2 hours, so we should probably close this out. Thanks guys for listening. This has been episode 4?
Yeah.
4 of season 2, the New Guys Pod. Great week of football upcoming here, and we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.
See you.